Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of the On the Net podcast. I'm your host, Big Baby Venegas, or you can call me Evan, whichever you prefer. And I'm here with a man who has been part of the channel for a while. He debates every single video that I post on the internet. He is my boy. He is Jaden. Jaden, how you doing, my man?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Excited for episode one. We got a lot of good topics for you. Just to go over a few housekeeping things, we are going to be doing a basketball podcast and then a boxing podcast every other week. So I will have somebody else on here for Jaden's spot for the boxing episode, and he will be here for every basketball episode. But how's your week been going, Jaden, so far? What you been up to? Anything special? Anything fun? Or you just been chilling on that grind?
It's been pretty normal. Just been chilling, getting through school. Basketball's been pretty fun. So just getting through it, going through the motions.
That's what's up. What position you be playing in basketball mainly when you play?
It just depends. Like, I really just play to play. So whatever position the lineup needs me to play, I'll play. So if I'm the biggest guy on the court, then of course I'll probably play power forward, center. If needed, I'll bring the ball up the court, anything like that.
Hey,
Yeah,
you
just
playing all
whatever.
over the place, huh? Sheesh.
Pretty
Center
much.
also? How tall are you? I didn't know you were
I'm
playing
actually
center also.
I'm only 6'1", so
Sheesh, is your team
center.
small?
It just, like I said, it just depends on the lineup that's on the floor because we have a lot of really cool guys. Some of us are a little undersized. Some of us are actually at that 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" height. So, if we have a bunch of guys that are really good that are undersized, and yeah, I kind of fill that role for the bigger guy that's going to go get the rebounds.
Dope, dope, dope. That's awesome. Before we get started, let's talk a little bit of NBA. When was the first time you got into watching NBA? What's your favorite team and what's your favorite part about the game?
So I think the first time I ended up really paying attention to the NBA was around 2018, around summer of 2018. So right after the Warriors won against the Cavs, and I was just starting to pay attention to it a little bit more because I've always liked basketball. I just never paid as much attention to it as I did until that summer. So I just
Mhm.
started watching it more, and the Warriors were my favorite team. Even before I really started paying attention, they were my favorite. But um, they really got me into like paying close attention. They were the first team that I actually took the time to like go back and watch and watch previous years of them playing, like pre-championship years, all that.
Mhm.
So yeah, they're definitely my favorite team. And my favorite thing about the game is how inclusive it is. Like, there's people who love to play the game. There's people who love to watch the game. I just feel like that's the thing with sports overall. Like, I just love the fact that you don't have to be playing to love the sport itself. Like, there's plenty of people doing what we do. There's plenty of people who actually play. Some people, they don't play professionally, but they still love the game so much that they hoop for, YouTube, vlogs, anything like that. So I just love how inclusive it is for everybody.
I love that. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people out there who love the game, but they can't play it, or they just don't have the opportunity to play it, but they still love it. They go out and play at courts, at the park, or there's people like me who still love the game and like do all their research on it and talk about it, debate it. And I just love that there's so many different opportunities within the game. It's not just you have to play it to be successful or to understand the game. There's so many other avenues you can go down to like really love the game of basketball.
Right. And sometimes, people who don't play end up being some of the people who know the most about the game because
That's true.
whenever you're not playing, sometimes you're just the guy that's always watching different games or learning different things about the games. So, you might end up knowing a little bit more of the tricks and tips or the little things than people who actually play. So, you know,
That's why I love, like, in high school there was like that manager position like you were talking about, because I actually did that my freshman year and I just got to learn so much about the team
mm,
without even playing. I got to like record games and stuff, and then I got to watch the film and like see like different defensive positions or different plays that they were running on offense. And then I would just look at it and do my research, and then I was able to play my next year, and it just helped me so much just watching the game and like being able to break down just what's going on during the game and stuff. So yeah, I really do understand that there's just so many different ways to actually learn the game besides just playing. Like, you don't need to get reps on the court to actually understand the game of basketball.
exactly. I actually started off playing like my first experience with being near a court was actually playing my freshman year. Played all my freshman year. That was the COVID year, so
Hmm.
a lot of the games got cut short. But
Uh,
during the practices and even during the games, like there was just so much that you could learn on the court. But then I got injured my sophomore year, couldn't play my junior year, and now it's my senior year, and I'm a manager who also gets to practice with the team. And I learned a lot about the game itself. I learned a lot about my teammates, and it's a lot of fun because some people like some people are built for pressure, and I won't say
mhm.
that I'm not, but I will say that not having the pressure of having to perform on a nightly basis, it does help with being able to take a lot of things in rather than being so self-wrapped in how you're performing on the court. You actually can take time to think about all the different things that actually go on instead of just what you're doing yourself.
Mhm. That's hilarious. I feel I'm the same way. During high school when I was playing and stuff, I just was always so nervous of like messing up or not doing the right play and stuff. But then once I was able to just sit down and watch the game, I was able to just see so many different things that like you can do within like setting a screen, cutting to the basket, doing a pick and pop. There's just so many different things that I didn't realize I could do in game just because of the pressure that I felt. And I just really feel like I do better analyzing the game when I'm looking at it and I could see what's going on and I could just break down exactly like what to do or what the positives are on the court. So I definitely get where you're coming from with like feeling that sigh of relief, not having to perform on a nightly basis and being able to sit down and watch it and see what to do and what not to do.
Right.
Little breakdown for me. I mean, I know people on the channel that are watching know I'm a big Clippers fan. I started watching basketball around 2009 when the Lakers beat the Magic and then they beat the Celtics the year after. Uh, Biggest reason I got into basketball was when Blake Griffin got drafted and just like his how dominant he was when he first came into the league, all the lobs that he was getting, just the physical dominance. I think that's what really got me into the game of basketball. Love Blake Griffin, my favorite player of all time. Um, yeah, I mean that's kind of how I got into the sport of basketball. Really, I was always playing since I was 5, rec leagues, AAU, and stuff, and then played high school for about 2 years, and then just high school. You find out so many different things about you, so I wasn't able to fully play until my senior year, but still have
Mm.
always played the game outside of it, playing at parks and stuff, playing for fun and stuff, and now it's led me to start a channel about the NBA just because of how much I enjoy it, how much I watch it, how much
Yeah.
I'm always like screaming and yelling at the TV of like what's going on. So I just figured, why not make a channel, talk about it myself, talk about what's going on, give my opinion and just see where it can go. And that's where we are here with episode 1 of the On the Net podcast.
Right.
All right, let's get into the first topic of the day. I want to go over the Damian Lillard situation because I think it's a really interesting topic. When I first heard the news that Damian Lillard got traded, I really thought that it was going to be a quick process. I thought it was going to be a quick trade. And for some reason, it's been taking a long, long time. For people
Mm.
that don't know, Damian Lillard officially requested a trade from the Portland Trail Blazers, but he has also gave them an ultimatum saying, "I only want to be traded to the Miami Heat," which I find a little weird. So I want to get your opinion first. What do you think? One, on the Damian Lillard trade itself, him asking for a trade, and number two, what do you think of it being only to Miami? Do you like it or do you not like it?
So my opinion on the trade request itself is I'm here for it because, I think a lot of people don't realize like we didn't start begging Dame like to get traded in 2021, 2022. It didn't start then. If we're being honest, it started back in probably 2019 when they got swept in the Western Conference Finals.
Hmm.
Um, I think that right there was just. I think that was a wake up call. That should have been the wake up call, I should say, for that Blazers organization to realize like either we got to get him out of here and do better for him, or we got to move some better pieces around him and just make ourselves better. Because it was just painstakingly obvious that that team wasn't ready. Like and not just the team itself, because the team can be changed, but I think that core wasn't ready. That core of Dame, CJ, and Nurt, it just wasn't. It wasn't it, because they had just got out of a dogfight 7-game series that went into overtime. I think twice
I'm
in
pretty sure
Denver.
one of those games went to 3 overtimes in
Yeah,
Portland.
3 times for one of the games.
Mhm.
I think CJ scored 50, and
I remember that.
it was crazy. Um, but they had just gotten out of a dogfight with Denver, and then you're going up against, that Denver was really their test, like to see where are we at right now,
Mhm.
because none of our players are really young. They're not veterans, they're not rookies, they're not second years. Like, all of our players have at least 3 or 4 years of experience under their belts. So Denver was really their test to see, like, how do we stack up against some of the best teams in the West. And Denver definitely wasn't what it was this past year, but they still gave them the fight of a lifetime. And
Mhm.
going up against that Warriors team without KD, um, I think that should have been the eye opener. Like, hey, this Warriors team doesn't even have, you could say that Steph was their best player in 2019. You could say that KD was their best player in 2019. But I think that the consensus was that KD was the best player in 2019, 2018, 2017. So they should have been looking
Agreed.
at this. They don't even have their best player, and they just got us up out of there quick. 4 games. We
Mhm.
got to change something. But over the years, it was like they didn't want to change anything at all. So I don't blame Dame for making the trade request. We've been trying to get him out of there for years now. Um, Now, as far as where he wants to get traded, I don't have a problem with it all, because the Heat culture that the Miami Heat have, I think it matches up really well with Dame's personality and ideology, of not running from the grind. If there's any team that's not going to run from the grind, as Dame would say, it's going to be the Miami Heat. So I don't blame him for wanting to only go to the Miami Heat. My only problem is with how him and his agent handled it. I think that I don't think it should have been made public that he was only going to accept offers from the Heat. That could have stayed under wraps, because that just puts a bad taste in any other team's mouth that would want to deal for you. You could end up with a team that has not exactly the same mentality as the Heat, but you can still end up with a pretty good minded team that is a contender. Personally, I don't think the Heat is the only team that he would have liked. He could have went to the Knicks, could have went to the Celtics. I heard Jason Tatum was trying to recruit him the other day. Um,
Mhm.
so there's a lot of teams that have that hard-minded mentality that Dame would like, that he could have kept open. But I think where they messed up is when they made it public that he didn't want to be traded to any other team. I think it was not unprofessional, but in a way, it was just distasteful. So I just think it could have been handled a little differently.
Okay. Okay. Well, it's about damn time that Damian Lillard finally asked for a trade, because there were so many rumblings. There were so many times where Damian Lillard in interviews was like talking about the organization, saying they need to do better, they need to bring more pieces to me, and it's just little hits at like, I'm not happy here, I want to get out of here. Not saying he didn't love the organization, just that the team was never at the level that he thought it should be to be competitors. Going back to 2019, I don't think it's the team that it wasn't that the team wasn't ready to compete. I don't think Damian Lillard was ready to compete, because he did nothing in that series. CJ McCollum carried that Portland team against Denver. Yeah, Damian Lillard had some success, but I mean against Golden State, it's like he wasn't even there. Yeah, I know there was apparently an injury, it's like rib injury, I believe, that was going on with him, but to
Mm.
still not give you like anything, not even get a game when KD is not even playing, I just feel that's on Dame. That's not on the organization not being ready.
Right.
Him wanting a trade, I'm totally cool with it. I mean, I feel like it's about time. I feel like it's a little bit too late. I feel like
Yeah.
you were saying 2019, 2020, 2021 should have been the time. Like let's explore some trade opportunities. Let's see like what we can get for Dame because that's when I feel he was at his best. Now him being 33, him having an injury history, I feel it's a lot harder to get a solid trade compared to 2021 when he was in his prime, averaging 28, 29. People were thinking he was better than Stephen Curry. I mean, what
Yeah.
are you going to get for Dame there? You're going to get 10 first round picks.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm perfectly fine with him wanting a trade. I'm totally against him only being open to Miami. I don't understand it. I get why he wants to be in Miami, but why say that's the only place you're gonna accept? There are so many other teams that you can go to and be a contender. For example, Philadelphia. For example, Oklahoma City, New York. I think even Sacramento. I know Orlando is a young team, but I like what they have on that team. And there are
Mhm.
so many young players and draft picks that Orlando can give up to Portland. So I don't like that Dame is being a little bit stubborn and wanting only Miami. I don't get his obsession with wanting to be in Miami. I feel it's really handicapping the Blazers because what is Miami going to give you for Damian Lillard? What do they have besides some picks? Tyler Hero, is that really going to be enough for a Damian Lillard? I don't think so. Um, so I really just don't understand um why Dame is only wanting to be in Miami. I don't understand why he won't be open to other opportunities. He's been in Portland his whole career. Why not explore every single possibility out there? So I really feel like he's handicapping the organization, and I really feel like he's trying to like delay. I don't know how to really word this. I feel like he's just trying to like say he wants out, but he's
Mhm.
really not wanting out, in my opinion. I feel he doesn't really want to leave because he doesn't want to have the backlash of what James Harden's gone, of what other players have gone in the past, like Kevin Durant going to Golden State. I feel he doesn't want to have that reputation of, oh, you left an organization to go cherry pick a championship. So I really feel
Mhm.
like it's partial him wanting out, but also giving them like a handicap saying, oh, it's only to Miami. And if you can't get it to Miami, then I guess I'll just stay here. So I really think it's partial. He wants to stay in Portland, in my opinion. Besides
I think
Miami, though, well, go ahead.
I think you have a point where he doesn't want the backlash, the same reputation as KD, James Harden. Um, but I don't think that I don't think people would see him like that at all. The problem that people have with KD, and I'm a Warriors fan, so I'm gonna admit it. It was weak. It was really weak. Like we just beat you, came back 3-1 the year before. We just won the championship the year before too. But to add on to that, we just beat you in a
Came back 3-1. Yeah.
came back 3-1, and you're coming to us, the champions from literally a year ago, and we just made the finals.
hmm Had the
AD,
best records in NBA history,
yeah,
73-9.
the best record in NBA history, and you're coming to us after getting whooped like that. Even James Harden, like in a way, I don't really blame.
I don't look at the James Harden situation like other people do. I don't think what he did was horrible.
It
What's going
wasn't
on
for
now currently I think is bad, but Houston to Brooklyn, I don't think was a big deal.
no Houston to Brooklyn. Like him wanting to go wasn't bad. I just think the way that he went about it was bad. The way he was playing in the
I think
game.
it's funny the way he did. I think it's funny.
Yeah, everybody saying he keeps bringing out the fat suit. It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
that's that's ridiculous, but
But yeah, just
I don't
James
know why
Harden
a player would go through all that to do that.
because he wanted out so bad. But I look at James Harden how like I think James Harden did what we wanted Damian Lillard to do. Granted, James Harden wasn't with the Rockets for his whole career, but pretty
We
much
look
almost
we think of James Harden as a Rocket. We don't think of him as a Thunder. We think of him as
right.
a Rocket.
So he's been with an organization for almost his whole career. They didn't build around him. Granted, 2018 was a little bit unlucky. Chris Paul got hurt. 2019 just a complete meltdown. I don't know how you lose that. Our best player went down and you wet the
That's
bed.
true.
It is what it is. But we I'm not looking at James Harden weird because the organization hasn't necessarily built the best around me. We haven't found any success. I think it's time for y'all to shop me around a little bit. I want to win. So I
We'll
don't blame him
see.
for
I think the
I
James Harden situation is different too because James Harden won an MVP and he was competing against he's the only player that's ever competed against that juggernaut Warriors team. Like I
Mhm.
love LeBron. LeBron's also one of my favorite players. He never had a chance to get to that team. I mean, the only chance he ever had was when he scored 51 and J.R. Smith forgot the damn score. So
Yeah,
James Harden's the only player that's ever really competed against that Warriors team. So I also don't look at the James Harden situation the same because he actually gave his all to that organization and almost won, even though he didn't.
right. I think if Damian Lillard had gotten out of there earlier, we'd be looking at him more like we look at maybe Kyrie. Kyrie left for different reasons. Kyrie left because he
I get
wanted
what
to
you're
be
saying.
the
I get
star.
what you're saying.
Kyrie
Yeah.
left to be the guy. He went to Brooklyn so that he could, build a team and compete. That's kind of how I would look at Dame. Like, I don't blame you. You want to be the guy on the championship team, but at the same time, you want to make sure that you're actually competing for a championship and you're not just the guy on a decent team that's going to get you 45 to 50 wins. I want to be the guy that's going to go get us a championship. So I wouldn't blame Dame at all. Now, my question for you is right now, with everything that's going on, do you think that Dame is going to be traded before the trade deadline?
Before the trade deadline or before the season starts?
For the trade deadline.
I believe he will, because usually how it works is this is where I don't know all the financials and how it works, but usually they'll start the season on the team and then they'll get traded like a quarter of the way through the season. That's what I expect is going to happen because that's what happened with James Harden. And I just
Right.
think it's kind of like the same situation where he's asking out and they can't really find a good trade partner currently. But I think as the season progresses, usually teams light up a little bit like, okay, we'll give you this instead of that. You know what I mean? So I think he will get traded before the trade deadline. I just don't. He has a no trade clause, right? He must have a no trade clause.
I can't remember.
I should have looked that up, but
there's only a few with a no trade clause. I know Steph is one of them.
he must have a no trade clause because I feel like a trade would have been done already. But I also don't. Our team's not calling because he only said Miami.
That's what I'm saying. I think
That's what
that
this is where I have an issue. This is where I have an issue too, is because the Blazers are at more fault than Dame is here. As an organization, you are a business. You got to do what's best for your team. And them holding on to Damian Lillard for so long was bad for business. Like you're saying, 2020, 2021, they should have explored trade options instead of trying to keep him because they were making a lot of money with him. Because that's really the only reason they kept him. They all knew they weren't going to be competitors. Since CJ McCollum got traded, they brought in Jeremy Grant. They weren't gonna be competitive. They just were bringing Damian because they had a chance to maybe compete for a playoff spot and also bring in a bunch of revenue, a bunch of money with him. So I mean, I don't understand why the Blazers organization waited so long to do this because it really was a bad business move and it really screwed up your team.
I understand from a moral perspective. From a business perspective, of course, you should be doing whatever's best for your organization. But for somebody like Dame is Portland's Steph Curry.
I get that.
Literal sense. Like they feel like they owe him everything. Because in a way, he is their franchise. Like when we look at Portland, we don't think back to Brandon Roy anymore. We don't think back to LaMarcus Aldridge. We don't think about Clyde Drexler. When you bring up the Portland Trailblazers, you're thinking about Damian Lillard. He is the guy that has carried their organization to any of their playoff spots they've been in, their Western Conference Finals appearance in 2019. CJ carried them through that second round, but still, he is the reason why their engine was going for so long. So I feel like from a moral standpoint, they feel like, yeah, if we haven't been able to help him win, at the very least, we can hold him off until we find out what we can get for him that works for us, but at least only send him to the team that he wants to go to. Because I feel like if he wasn't what he is for that team now, they would have already found a deal for him, and I guarantee you, it most likely wouldn't have been the Heat. They probably would have not cared and just sent him to whatever team gave him the best deal.
I agree.
Like I said earlier, the Heat really don't have a lot to offer for Dame. You mentioned Tyler Hero and some picks. It's not enough. My only
It's not even close to enough.
It's not. My only suggestion for the Heat is if you really really want Dame and you're not trying.
I was gonna ask you this question. If
Mhm.
you're Miami, what are you? How much are you willing to give up for him?
So I'm giving. I feel like you have to give up Tyler Hero. Like as much as you want
Okay.
that guy out,
Are you going to this name that I'm thinking you're going to? Continue.
Vic.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't even think. Why would Portland want him? I mean, I guess contract wise, it makes sense just to get.
Contract wise, and with the direction that Portland's going, they're gonna once they get rid of Dame, they're gonna be rebuilding. So Vic would be a nice veteran guard that could kind of mentor Anthony Simons while he's still there. Um, that would be a nice guy to help mentor Anthony Simons. Just from the way that they both play when Vic was healthy, they were a little bit similar. I won't say that they were exactly the same, but they were a little similar. Um, but that would be a nice mentor. So I would say you'd have to give up a couple of picks: Tyler Hero, Victor Oladipo. Of course, they're not touching Jimmy. You're not touching Bam. Kyle
So
Lowry.
Bam's off the table for you.
Yeah, Bam. I
Okay.
would say Bam is only off the table because of his youth. That's the only reason.
That's the only reason I think Portland would want him.
Yeah,
I think he's the deal breaker in my opinion.
and that's the problem though, because Miami, like as much as people hate on Bam,
Oh,
Miami
that's
doesn't get it. Miami doesn't get as far as they've gotten in the past 4 years
No,
without Bam at
he is
all.
such an underrated player. Yes,
Bam
he
is
doesn't score as much, bro, but he does so much more besides scoring.
I keep telling people, y'all forget, Bam is the reason why we didn't see the Lakers and Celtics battle for their next banner
Mm-hmm.
in 2020. Bam is who messed that up. So they don't get as much success as they do without Bam, which is why I'm pretty sure Miami's saying, yeah, Bam's off the table, Jimmy's off the table. Anybody else you can have. I doubt that they'll deal Kyle Lowry. I don't think that there's a world where they deal Tyler Hero and Kyle Lowry. I feel like they want at least one solid guy off the bench. Of course, they're probably not going to keep Vic just because of the injuries that he's had over the years. Trying to think of who else is on their roster that they really can shop around. They're going to be reluctant about it, but maybe Caleb Martin. And
I feel like that's a given. He has to be on the table.
yeah, if not Bam, it has to be Caleb Martin, Tyler Hero, Vic, and if they can either do some picks or they can throw in an extra player like Nikola Jovic, or they could even deal out Thomas Bryant again if they wanted to.
Oh, I forgot Miami has Thomas Bryant. Here's I have a question for you. Does Miami need Dame in your opinion?
They need somebody like Dame. I think. When did they get Kyle Lowry? Was it 2021 or 2022?
The year they lost to the Celtics in the ECF, they had Lowry. That offseason before they had him. So the 2021-2022 season, the one the Warriors won.
Okay. So I think when they got Kyle Lowry, the type of player that they needed was 2019 Kyle Lowry or 2020 Kyle Lowry, really.
I don't know. I feel like Kyle Lowry's still been good.
He's been good. He just hasn't been able to produce like he used to. Kyle Lowry used to be a smooth 20, 21, 22 point per game, 7 assists, and he'll even get you 45 rebounds a night too.
Yeah.
Get you a steal. He was nice. That's the kind of guy that they needed for their point guard. People have been saying for years the Heat need a point guard. The Heat need a point guard. The Heat need a point guard. Ever since Dwayne Wade left, they need a point guard. And it's true. They just don't have a scoring point guard to really round out the bunch. Dame would definitely be that guy for them. Dame will get you 27 to 30 points a game a night, 6 to 8 assists a night too. Um, he's not the greatest defender, but he'll play some defense every once in a while.
Is
So
it worth it to gut your fucking team? I didn't mean to cuss. Sorry, guys. Is it worth it to gut your team for Dame though? I just feel like you have to give Portland 4 to 5 players and picks for him. And those 4 or 5 players are the reason you got to that NBA Finals because of that depth you guys had, because of the culture that those players brought to that team.
as of right now, I believe that not only is it worth it, it's most likely necessary just because of who all is on the table from a point guard perspective. Because if we really think about it, all the best
I
point
was
guards
thinking about
in the
that.
league
I was trying to think
are
about who's there, who's still available.
all the best point guards in the league are locked up. Steph is locked. Luka's locked. Uh, Kyrie is locked with the Mavericks. Fox is definitely locked with the Kings. Jalen Brunson is locked with the Knicks. Who else should I be thinking about?
Is Trey locked with the Hawks?
Trey is locked for now. I believe his contract is up in a couple of years.
Like, I think
Um,
Trey is a more doable player than Dame. Like, I feel like you don't have to
he
give up as much,
he is
even though I think Trey's a better player, in my opinion, right
than
now,
Dame.
currently.
Than Dame.
I'm not the biggest Dame fan. Yeah, I think he's better than Dame right now.
I would say
I think Trey's underrated. I think he's getting a lot of hate for everything that happened with what was the coach's name? McMillan, right? Is that his name?
yeah,
No.
Dylan.
Yeah, I think that Trey's getting a lot of hate for not being a true leader, not being being a liability on defense, which I mean, it's hard when he's what 5'10", 5'11", so it's hard for him
He's
to
only
be an
6'1",
elite
so I
defender.
can't.
Oh, I thought he was shorter. But yeah, I feel like he gets a lot of hate for that, and I just think he's a streaky shooter. His ability to drive to the basket, that floater game, I feel is amazing, and he's an elite playmaker, like
Yeah.
elite. He makes amazing passes that like I don't think he can make.
So
And I don't look at Dame as like a playmaker like that. I look at Dame more as of a scorer.
Dame is definitely more of a scorer. His playmaking is definitely underrated though, because
I do. I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
he's had a lot of 7 to 8 assist seasons, and it just has gone under the radar. Dame kind of plays how Steph used to play back in 2013, 2014, I would say. That's back when, but he scores more. That's back when Steph was averaging around 23, 24, but he was also dishing out 7.5, 8.5 assists every night. So I think that's how Dame plays. He just kept that play style instead of turning into how Steph Curry is now. But Trae Young, they're more of on an equal level to me. Personally, I think Dame is the better scorer. As a combination of a scorer and playmaker, I think Trae is the better combination of the two. But Dame definitely plays better defense than Trae, so I think they kind of balance out.
I can get behind that. I don't think it's a big gap to where there's like a needing for an argument or a debate for. Like, I get you. I get where you're coming from. Like, I wouldn't hate on it if you're picking Dame over Trae. I just personally like Trae more.
Yeah, I would personally rather have Trae just because I've seen him do what it took Dame to do. What it took Dame. When was Dame drafted? 2012, I believe.
2011, 2012, yeah.
2011, 2012. It took Dame 8 years to make it to the conference finals, whereas it only took Trae, I think, 3 years. He was drafted
3 years, man. And that team was not very good.
It wasn't. It really wasn't.
And people call that a fluke. I mean, yes, he was not efficient. I will give everybody that he was not efficient. But people don't realize his playmaking and his IQ is so high. He was able to do so many more things besides score. And when he needed to score, he would score.
Yeah, I don't think people realize just how crazy that was for Trae. Trae led them through New York with relative ease.
Which is a hostile environment.
It was. He led them through New York with relative ease. Partially more so because of how good he was, but also due to the meltdown that Randall had that
Hmm.
year. They didn't have anybody else.
Yeah,
And then who did the Hawks play
Philadelphia.
in the Philadelphia? That meltdown that Trey caused them to have, that was crazy, and almost did it to the Bucks.
Yeah,
Um,
people don't realize that was a 6 game series,
yeah,
and I'm pretty sure Trey got hurt in that series, right? I know Giannis got
Trey
hurt, but I'm pretty sure Trey got hurt also.
Trey got hurt and kept playing. Giannis, I think,
Yeah,
sat game and then came back, I
he
believe.
came back in the finals. He sat for the
Yeah,
rest of that series,
yeah.
the Hawks series. So
I think
Middleton was
Trey
the one
just
that
ran
carried
out of
them.
gas in that series.
Yeah, I think Partial was injured, but yeah, people don't realize it was a 6 game series. It was a close series. I remember they stole game one,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh my god, they actually might go to the finals. That was when the Clippers were supposed to go, and I was so excited because I wanted to play the Hawks, but
And
boy, I
funny
got
enough,
hurt.
that year is what caused people to start questioning the gap between him and Luca.
Yes, yes. I remember people were saying, did Atlanta actually make the right move? Is Trey actually the better player? I remember that.
Yeah,
Which now right now it's delusion. It's I don't want to say delusional, but it is. Luka's just on a different level than like all of that draft class.
yeah. But I back just to get back on topic. I think
I was about to say we're off topic about the whole thing, but go ahead.
yeah, just I think as of right now, just because of who's available, Dame is the best that you're gonna get. And because he's the best that you're gonna get, if you really want him and you really want to better your team, you kind of have to do whatever Portland wants you to do, unless you want your team. As of right now, the Miami Heat have gotten worse.
Hmm.
They lost Gabe Vincent. They lost Vic to, I believe, an injury. I think he'll be out. If not, then he'll be hobbled just
Pretty
because
sure
of
they
the
re-signed him though, right?
I
Like they
believe
gave
so.
him another 1 year deal, I think.
I can't remember.
I think
I
they
believe.
did.
Um, but yeah, you lost one of your pieces that was doing really well for you in the conference finals and finals. Um, you still have Caleb Martin, which is good. You still have Jimmy. You still have your two core pieces in Jimmy and Bam. Tyler Hero, he's coming back off of I think it was a broken arm.
And
Um,
see, that's another thing too. You got to look at it like Tyler Hero has been hurt 2 years in a row now in the playoffs.
yep.
It's like, is that something Portland really wants to take on?
I would say that it is just because they've seen what he's done. He's gotten hurt in the playoffs, and I don't think that Portland is aiming for the playoffs once they trade Dame. Like I said, they'll be rebuilding. So their focus is definitely even if they get Tyler Hero, their focus isn't going to be on Tyler Hero.
I don't
It's
think it's
most
a full
likely
rebuild.
well, not a full rebuild, but
Like
it's
I really think Anthony Simons could take over that team. Like I mean, when Dame wasn't
that's
playing, he was putting up 26, 27 points a game. I like that
exactly
kid. And Scoot Henderson is an athletic freak of nature.
that's what I'm saying. Even if they get Tyler Hero, they may not be such a rebuilding team like how the Pistons have been for the last couple years,
Hmm.
but they won't be really competing even for like a sixth or fifth seed or anything like that. They'll more likely be competing for a playoff or not playoff play-in spot. Maybe try to play their way into the playoffs. If not, go into the next season with higher hopes. That
You know
team is
what they
going to be
could
focused on Scoot and Anthony Simons.
do also is what I didn't think about is they could take Hero and Martin if they're available in trade and just flip them for more picks and or another young player,
Right.
which makes more sense to me. But I just still don't think those two and picks is enough. We're gonna get it done. Jovic, maybe because I think Jovic is a good young player. I think he could play. I just don't think it's enough for a guy like Damian Lillard's caliber, who's
So I
considered a
would
superstar player.
probably swap out Jovic for Thomas Bryant at that point. Then,
I feel like Thomas Bryant would also be included.
yeah.
I don't. It's. But I mean, Kyrie got traded for I thought was a horrible trade in my opinion when he went to Dallas, and KD I thought
Who did
there was a lot of picks.
get traded for?
Dennis, not Dennis. Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie.
So they lost one of their scoring guards and they lost their defense. That's right.
Yeah, but I just
Um,
feel like a guy like
Reggie
Kyrie's
Bullock's
level
on the team?
is more.
Reggie
What?
Bullock still on the Mavericks? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
He is. All right. Last question with the Dame situation, then we'll move on. If Miami ends up falling out of the running and say Dame opens up to more teams, what are 2 to 3 teams you think that should go after Dame that are maybe that little step off of maybe being a number one team in a West or Eastern Conference?
Warriors.
Yeah,
Nah,
right. Okay.
um, that'd be great if we could flip CP3 for Dame. Like,
No shot.
let's see. I would probably say who should or who I want him to go to.
Should like what like makes sense. Like both teams
Um,
will get what they want in the trade. You could throw
I
a one in there. Give me one team you would want also.
I want is probably the Warriors.
I was gonna say, yeah, we already went through that. Okay, so you would want him to be with Curry.
Yeah.
Is that realistic? You would, I mean, you would be doing the same thing. You would give up what? You would have to give up Kaminga or Moody, one of those guys.
We'd have to give up, but we have a lot of young talent that we can shop around, and they all do the same job. Like, I don't think it would be too bad, just because we'll get to the next topic. I'll talk about that more. When we get to the
Yeah, okay, I got you.
so the two that I think he should go to, it would be kind of scary if he went to Milwaukee. They
I
could
would love that. I would love that, bro. I would love
probably
that.
be able to get away with giving up Chris Middleton. You know, he's a former All Star. Um, they could give away Chris Middleton, maybe Grayson Allen. If they have any, they can give up some picks. But you know, that'll be kind of what people have been fantasizing about for the last 3 to 4.
I wanted Chris Paul to go to Miami so bad. I'm not sorry, Milwaukee. I
Yeah,
wanted Chris Paul to be with Giannis. I thought that'd be dirty.
that would be crazy. That kind of lob threat for CP3 on a nightly basis is
Hang
crazy.
on.
But Dame going
Pat
to
Connaughton.
yeah,
This guy, Marjon Beach.
Beauchamp.
How? Yeah, Beauchamp. That's what you say. Beauchamp. He would probably be in the deal because
Yeah,
he has some young talent. I think he's pretty good.
yeah. Can't remember. PJ Tucker's not on the Bucks anymore. He's on the
No,
Philadelphia
he's
76ers.
yeah, he's on Philly now.
Okay. I think if Dame went to Milwaukee, of course it probably wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be as good. But that would probably be what people have fantasized about since that 2019 All-Star game, with everybody wanting Steph and Giannis to team up. Personally, I've always wanted to see that. Like, if Giannis is talking about how he
I don't.
wants to
Yeah, I don't think it's
winning,
as fantasy as you think. I think it could be a possibility.
it could, and it would be scary because that type of paint presence with that type of gravity outside of the 3-point line,
Yeah, man,
crazy. That the
that
way
would
that you're
be.
getting stretched on a nightly basis would be crazy.
Oh, I
But
don't want to think about that.
there would be a form of that if Milwaukee got Dame. The other team that I think would be nice for Dame would be sorry.
You're good.
I think in all honesty, he could have went to the Rockets. Not I know he wants to be somewhere that he wants to win, but if we really think about it, if let's just say that the Rockets held off, right? And they decided to wait on signing Fred VanVleet or Dylan Brooks. I would prefer that they sign Dame instead of Dylan Brooks. But
I forgot Dylan Brooks signed there, bro. That was like
yeah,
a no name move. Like
yeah,
nobody knew about it.
because everybody thought he was going to be in China the next season. It was a joke. It slowly turned into something serious, which is wild. But you know, the Rockets have a lot of nice young talent. Like, that's a team that you'll be contending with for a while. Now, if we want to put them somewhere that's gonna win now, Milwaukee and Philly would be the best decision. You can get away with trading James Harden, maybe PJ Tucker. You might have to throw in like Tyrese Maxey or something like that. But, you know, they have plenty of pieces that you could get for Dame. Dame and Joel Embiid on the same team. You keep Tobias Harris if you don't deal him. You still have, I believe, his last name is Reed.
Oh,
Uh,
Paul Reed.
yeah, Paul
Yeah,
Reed.
44. I got you.
But yeah, that would be a decent team. So a want is the Warriors. That kind of gravity between two guards is crazy. I know our team would give up a lot, but still, um, Milwaukee, it would be like a pseudo Stephen Giannis combination. The stretching of the floor that would have to happen would be insane. And if he wants to win, like now, which I'm pretty sure he does, send him to Philly. If not, if you want to just give him like really good players to put around himself, Rockets.
Hmm. Interesting. All right. My big want would be the Orlando Magic. Why?
Mhm.
I love all that young talent on that team. I'm a big Markel Fultz fan. I think Paulo Banchero is going to be a star in this league. And I think they just have so many young pieces that are going to fit well with Damian Lillard. Cole Anthony coming off the bench. You got Gary Harris who can shoot the lights out on
Mhm.
certain nights. A deal. I mean, they got so much young talent. You can ship off Jalen Suggs. You can ship off Jonathan Isaac. You can ship off the other Wagner brother.
Mhm.
There's just so many young players, and they got a lot of picks that I think it could work. And I just think pairing Dame with either Markel Fultz or Gary Harris in the backcourt could be really lethal. You have Wendell Carter Jr., who can be a lob threat. Franz Wagner, we saw he could be one of those glue guys that just puts everything together. They have Joe Ingles, a sharpshooter, and like I said, Paulo is a lethal player that I think will be a superstar type player in a few years. So Orlando would be the team I want him to go to, just because I think it's a great young team that you put one star around all those young players, they could really make some noise. I would also like New York, just because
Mhm.
I think they're also one piece away. I think Jalen Brunson has solidified himself as a top 10-ish point guard. You can argue 11, 12. I think he solidified himself. And you put
Mhm.
Dame as his shooting guard and you play Dame like you do Steph Curry, like you're saying, play more
Mhm.
off ball, play more ball movement wise, while like going off pick and rolls and pick and pops and stuff. And then I don't know exactly what you'd give up. I think RJ Barrett would be involved in that deal. I don't know if
Most
they'd want to
definitely.
ship off Randall yet. I don't know if they're done with
Uh,
him.
I don't. That's the thing. He's fallen apart. What is this? 2 years, 3 years in a
Second year
row.
in the playoffs.
Wasn't it 2021 where he? Oh, did they make the playoffs last year?
No, they
No.
they 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 were like the 10th, 11th seed, and then Jalen Brunson came in and then turned
Right.
everything around.
But this is his second year. Completely melting down this year to the point where he was completely unplayable.
Yeah.
I don't know. They might be open to dealing him. Sometimes you just have to realize that some of your best players are your best regular season players, and once it comes to the playoffs, it's just not the same.
Yeah, but that's where I don't know. It's like if you bring in Dame, is
Mhm.
that do you keep Randall and like okay, he's gonna be good for the regular season, then we rely on Jalen Brunson and Dame. I don't know if a backcourt can carry you to an NBA finals. I think you need your forwards to also help you out. But I mean, they got a lot of pieces on this team too. Josh Hart, they signed Dante DiVincenzo.
Right.
They have Isaiah Hartenstein down there in the block. They
I'm
got
gonna
Mitchell
miss Dante.
Robinson.
I'm gonna miss Dante.
Dante's a sharpshooter, man. I mean, he played some solid defense too. I mean, I feel like Emmanuel quickly would probably be the one of the players traded. I feel like him, RJ Barrett, and either a Julius Randle, or if you bring in like a Jericho Sims or Isaiah Hartenstein, that would probably
Mhm.
get the deal done, in my opinion, because Portland gets a lot of young pieces as well as some talent to help them win some games.
Mhm.
So New York, I think, is a good option if he's open for another team. And my number one team is Oklahoma City Thunder. Look, you
Mhm.
pair Shea Gilgeous-Alexander with Damian Lillard. Oh my God, that is the best backcourt in the NBA, in my opinion. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be, or we're going to talk about it later, I think is going to be in the MVP conversation. I think he is a
Oh, definitely.
superstar. And I just think there's so many players on this team that you could give up that Portland would love. I love me some Josh Giddey. I probably would trade him because I think that's what gets a deal done. I think
Mhm.
Josh Giddey is one of those that gets the deal finalized. But like say Josh Giddey, Isaiah Joe, and the other Jalen Williams, like that's
Yep.
great pieces going to Portland. That's a great trade right there, in my opinion. And I think it would make Portland happy, and I think Dame would love playing with Shea. Because then you also have J Dub, you have Shet coming in for his rookie year. You
Mhm.
have Aaron Wiggins, you have what's that other kid's name? Trey Mann. Yeah, like you have a lot of young people. You have Dort, who's a great 3-and-D player. I
Yep.
just think this team is like the New York Knicks and like the Magic are one piece away from being a true contender. And you bring Dame in, I think they're a top 4, top 5 seed in that Western Conference. So I really love the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think pairing Shea, like we saw what he did with Chris Paul. I mean, he was the second best player as that was his second year in the league, I'm pretty sure, after getting traded to the Clippers. I remember seeing him with the Clippers. He was giving Kevin Durant work in that first round. The Clippers
Hmm.
took them 6 games. I mean, Shea really proved that he is a solid player his rookie year. I hate that we got rid of him, but I mean, I know why. Um, but I just think Oklahoma City with Dame would be lethal. I know Dame is wanting to be in a win now situation. Like he wants that team to be solidified. Like, okay, they've already been there, they've been and done that. But I think he needs to look at opening his eyes more to other opportunities, other perspectives, because there's a lot of other teams besides Miami that could really compete for a championship.
Now, the only thing I would say is with Oklahoma City, I don't think that would be something that would happen this year, just because I'm pretty sure that they're confident in their core right now with Josh Giddey, Shea, Chet, Jada, everybody. Like, oh, and sorry, thought I
You're
forgot.
good.
But
You
they
don't
have.
think say you don't hang on. You don't think say Oklahoma City starts off like amazing. Say they like are 24, 25 and 10 and we're
Mhm.
about to approach the trade deadline and Dame's not traded yet. You don't think Sam Presti's going to be like, "Screw it. Let's get Dame. Let's go try to compete for a championship."
No, just because of the scenario that you're naming, I don't think Sam Presti's gonna be one of the guys that's like, hey, we're doing well. Let's make this possibly risky. Actually, no, let me describe it like this. It
No, you're
depends on why.
right. It
It
would be a
depends on
risky
why
move.
they're 25 and 10. It would really just depend on why they're 25 and 10. If the reason why they're 25 and 10 is just because Shea is, which partially he will be, but Shea is just this monster that's going off for 35, 40 balls every other night, and Chet is averaging a smooth 18 to 20 with 2 blocks a game or anything like that, and Josh Giddey is still the same triple double threat that he is every night, and that's why they're winning games. Like it's not streaky like how it was last year. Then I can definitely see him pushing the button and saying, "Hey, these 3 are the reason why we're winning, but let's add somebody else." Now, if the reason why they're winning, 25 games within that stretch, if the reason why is because the team itself, like J Dub, Isaiah Joe, all of them are contributing too, then that's when I would say he wouldn't pull the trigger, because if I see that the team that we have now is functioning the way that it should be, then I'm not going to pull the trigger. And part of that is we kind of forget a lot of these guys have been together for years. So Che or not Che, Shea has been with Josh Giddey pretty much the whole time he's been in Oklahoma City. He was there when Chet got there. Even while he was injured, he was still part of the team. Isaiah Joe, he's been there since Isaiah Joe was there. J Dub literally was there when he was drafted. All of that. Everybody on this team has been together forever. So the chemistry is, through the roof. So why mess that up with Dame, end up shipping all these guys out if there's such a big risk with it? So that team specifically, I would say, I don't think it's going to happen before the trade deadline or anything like that. Maybe next year if, things don't pan out how OKC wants it to, but not this year. I don't see it going how you might envision it with Dame.
I think what will hold up the trade is Chet Holmgren. I think if he is playing well, if he's putting up decent numbers, if he's playing ferocious defense and he looks like the number 2 draft pick that we saw in Gonzaga, then I
Mhm.
think okay, we're not going to make that move because they believe probably Chet and Shea could be enough to make a deep playoff run, because we got to look at OKC. They're still in that technically rebuild process. They didn't make the playoffs. They made some noise in the play-in, but I think
Mhm.
their goal is to show that they are a competent team. They are ready to make a move, or they're ready to make a move in the playoffs. If
Yeah,
Shet is playing bad, if he's not really meshing with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, then I think maybe Sam will be like, maybe I could trade Shet for Dame. Maybe Shet I move because people are hesitant on Shet because of his size, because of how skinny he is. I think he's going to be good because I saw him bulk up. I saw him
mhm,
in the summer league be more aggressive and use his tallness to his advantage instead of trying to
right,
play off of finesse and shooting threes and shooting jumpers. He was attacking the basket. So I think he's going to be good, but I could see a scenario where he's not playing well and the Thunder make a move like the Clippers did, even though Shea was playing well for them. They're like, oh, we can go get a superstar in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and pair them together. Oh, we
right.
can go get a Damian Lillard and pair him with Shea, and that could be a better duo than Shet and Shea. So I think it all determines, or it's all based off of how Shet plays. Is how we'll see the Thunder. Are they going to make a move, or are they going to stand pat with what they have? I
Mhm.
personally think they should stand pat, but I love the situation if Dame gets to Oklahoma City. I think that's a true contender in the West.
For sure.
The Golden State Warriors made a very intriguing move this offseason as they traded their young star in Jordan Poole for Chris Paul. And in my opinion, this is a last resort move. They're trying to maximize their opportunity with their trio of Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry. They're trying to win at least one more ring with this trio. I want to get your thoughts. Is this the Warriors' final ride of this trio slash destiny dynasty between Steph, Klay, and Dre? And what do you see happening this season with Chris Paul?
Um, so brief backstory. I remember the day very clearly when a Woj bomb appeared across my phone. Said that we dealt Jordan Poole for Chris Paul, and I went up on my Instagram story and I told everybody, I was like, why is he here? He's cursed. He's cursed. Please get him away, please. And over time, I started to like, at first it just didn't make sense. I was like, bro, he's old, he's old, he's old. Jordan Poole was young and he was scoring 30, like a good 30 on good nights. Why do we have Chris Paul? So I hated it at first, but then I had to think, Chris Paul isn't terrible. For what we need, I just think it wasn't the best move at the time because I stressed this to everybody. The Warriors would be, I wouldn't say favorites just because, favorites depends on the media's perception. But I would say we should be the favorites if we ever get a decent big. Like, give us a Miles Turner. Give us if we had him, a Hassan Whiteside. Give us a Brook Lopez.
So you think you'd be a true like finals contender if you just added another big besides Looney and kept your same team with Jordan Poole and Kuminga and Moody and all those young guys?
Don't get me wrong. I still think that we're a true title contender right now.
Sheesh.
Warriors. Anyways,
That's a
that is a hot take. I'm not gonna lie, but you'll have to hear me out when we get further in. To answer the question, yes. If we had just added a big, because think about it, our problem with last year was we were shit on the road. Excuse my language, but we were very bad on the road for some unknown reason, and our paint defense. If you look at the Kings series, part of the reason why we started struggling all of a sudden was the fact that Sabonis decided to be aggressive and use his size. The reason why the Lakers took us out, we had no answer for AD, but overall their team was just bigger than us, right? Well, the way to fix that is get a big. You got a big, you have somebody in the paint that can go get you a couple blocks. You have a bigger presence in the paint, so you have less people with the mindset to drive towards the basket. People don't think that it's just easy pickings at the basket. get a big. Um, for more specific scenarios, I'm just gonna use the Lakers series that we just had. Truly believe we had a 6'10", 6'11" big with good defense. I won't say decent, good defense. We could have won that series easily. Um,
I
AD
don't
doesn't.
I don't think
AD
your issue is what you're
tear us
saying,
up.
but continue.
AD wouldn't tear us up like he did in Game One, or that whole series, and we'd have better defense in the paint overall. Um, but yeah, I think with a big, we definitely would be top tier. Um, do I think this is our final ride? No, not at all. Um, before I indulge more into that, the Chris Paul move, it makes sense when you have to think about it like a lot, but it makes sense when you think about it. We have a lot of young guys. We have Kaminga, Moody. What's that kid's name? Everybody was comparing him to Jordan Poole as soon as he left. I think it was Lester Quinones or Quinones, something like that. We have those three, but specifically Kaminga, I would say out of those three, out of all of our young players, Kaminga has the most potential to be one of the top players in the league.
I
Um,
disagree. Oh, okay. If you okay,
Kaminga,
I get you now.
yeah. Um, Chris Paul might actually be the exact guy that he needs to do that. Kaminga's always been a great lob threat, but instead of it always having to be, Steph on an open fast break throwing a lob to Kaminga, or Draymond every once in a while throwing a lob to Kaminga, you have Chris Paul. Chris Paul's great at setting up pick and rolls and getting lobs to his bigs. Look at Lob City. Look at what he was doing for Clint Capella back in Houston. Uh, he's
Yeah,
always
but
been at setting up
But
people
what
for.
what made Chris Paul a big threat there is that you were worried about him coming off that pick and roll and shooting it. He doesn't do that anymore. Not as much, anyways. I mean, the dude
Not,
averaged like 8 points against Denver. He
and
had
that's
like
true.
no games over 20 points in that series, I'm pretty sure.
He didn't. He definitely just wasn't. I think that's less just because of what his ability is, and more because of what he felt his role is. Like last year, like just look at the drastic difference between the series that he had against Denver and the series that he had against the Pelicans in 2022, I believe. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
2022.
that was like his
That
last
series,
great series.
it was. His
And he,
aggressiveness
then he ran
changed.
out of gas, in
He
my
did.
opinion.
His aggressiveness just completely changed because he just felt like his role wasn't to go score or even to take the shots that he used to take. I feel like last year that tendency to kind of lay off the shots increased even more because of who they added to that team. Kevin Durant, KD ate up a lot of the shots that Chris Paul might have taken in the past. Aiton, he's still on the team. He's taking shots from Chris Paul. D-Book taking the most shots from the team, most likely. He's taking shots from Chris Paul. So the last series that we saw from him against Denver, I feel like that was more so because he felt like his role was to get people involved. Like,
Let me
and with
correct
the
myself.
media,
I didn't mean to say the Denver series because he got hurt in the Denver series. I meant the Dallas series the year before. So let me
okay.
correct myself because Denver series he got hurt in game two, I believe. So
So
continue your statement.
even with before he got hurt in that Denver series, I just feel like even all year, because his scoring average was down from the previous year anyways, even in the regular season. All year, at least since they got KD, I completely understand why he took less shots, because even the media was speculating like, how's KD gonna fit with this team? Well, you have Chris Paul. Chris Paul's gonna get KD, D Book, Aiton, everybody involved. That's pretty much what he was doing, and it was working out. But from a scoring aspect, it just wasn't the same. Um, the Dallas series, I will say that was just a complete meltdown on the Suns' part. Like, Chris Paul fell apart. I believe he was injured. Was
He's
he? No, that
always
was
injured, man. He's always
he
freaking
is.
injured.
He is. That's another big worry I have about him, but I'll talk about that later. Um, but he was injured, and even though he's always injured, I'm still going to say like that definitely affects the performance of a 36, 37-year-old man. Um, but yeah, that was just a complete meltdown. My confidence in him this year stems from the belief that he's going to come off the bench, which I really hope he will.
I
Which
don't
I
think
think he.
he's starting. I mean, you have Curry, you have Thompson, you have Wiggins, Draymond, and then you have Looney. So he's obviously going to come off the bench.
So I like him coming off the bench more because the bench would look like Chris Paul, um, most likely Moses Moody, but maybe Lester Quinones. If Moody's not starting at the two, it'll most likely be him starting at the three, Kuminga at the four, and then Dario Saric at the five. Out of
Yeah, you
all of
still
them,
have Gary Payton too.
oh, you're right. So it'd most likely be Gary Payton starting over Lester Quinones. I forgot we re-signed him. I don't know how. GP2, I love you. Um, but it would most likely be those five. Out of all of them, offensively, it should be Chris Paul being the most aggressive, whether that be off the pick and roll. And since 2018, I don't think Chris Paul has been the same aggressive 3-point shooter that he used to be. So off of pick and rolls, I'm more so expecting him, if he's going to shoot, to get into that mid-range area that he loves and, hit a few shots from there. And like you were saying before, like he's always been really good because they're scared of him shooting out of that pick and roll. Well, set a pick and roll and get into that mid-range spot. If Kuminga's open for the lob while you're in that mid-range spot, get it to him. If Moody's, cut into the basket, Moody's a really good cutter. If you catch him cutting to the basket, find him. Dario Saric is a decent big man. Get it to him. GP2 has always been a really cool lob threat. Get it to him. So I think with all of those passing options, it's gonna look really good for him. His scoring, I'm not sitting here expecting him to average like 18, 19, 17 off the bench. But I can definitely see a world where Chris Paul comes this year and averages like 10, 11 points with 9 or 10 assists. That'd be great for us. Like our starting lineup, I have no problems with our starting lineup aside from the fact that Looney is our tallest person. And even that doesn't bother me as much, just knowing what type of defense he can play against some really good bigs.
He's just not. He doesn't have that like lateral quick movement. He could
Exactly.
stand. He could stand in front of you.
He
Actually,
can.
Dario Saric is technically your tallest player, but I mean it's only by an inch.
Yeah, now he is. I think Sarge is 6'10".
Yeah, your forwards is nasty. You have like
Yeah,
5 players that play. It's like there's not a lot of depth on this team.
no. Um, but even with that being said, Looney can play some decent defense on bigs, and whatever lateral quickness he lacks, that's where Draymond comes in most of the time. Draymond will get you that block, that help defense block. He'll get you the extra defensive slide that'll get you a charge. Love that. Steph is going to be Steph until Steph can't be Steph anymore. Clay is going to be Clay until Clay can't be Clay anymore, which is more than likely coming soon. Wiggins is still, aside from contrary belief, Wiggins is still relatively young. He was drafted in 2014? And he did, in the games that he did play for us, he was really good. He's always going to be that consistent 3-and-D. He'll get you a smooth 38 to 40% from three, playing great defense, 18, 17 points a game. And I don't know if people have noticed, but he's actually gotten better every year that he's been with the Warriors. I believe he came with us in 2020.
I think it was the year after COVID.
So 2021.
I think it was 2020, 2021 around there is when you traded for him.
I
Because
believe we
oh
got him.
wait,
It was when
no,
we
you might have gone it
traded
before
D'Lo.
COVID because you traded D'Lo for him.
Yeah, it was before COVID.
It was
Because,
before COVID. It was a year after the Raptors series.
yep. So we got him in 2020. He was decent. He got better in 2021 and helped
Good.
us get to that play in. And he got even better after that. Had his best season in 2022, All Star that year. And last season, he was on pace to be even better than the season before that, but just had the family issues. Um,
No, Wiggins is a solid player, man. I think he's really turned into a really solid 3-and-D guy in Golden State. I thought he was really lost in Minnesota because he was supposed to be the guy, but I think he's really found a great role in
mhm.
Golden State, being a 3-and-D guy, playing great defense, being a ferocious rebounder. That penny
Yep,
step back, that penny spin move step back that he has is
yep,
nasty. Love that. Yeah, I love Wiggins.
yeah. Wiggs has always been, since he's been here, he's always been one of my favorite players that we've had. Loved him in the finals, especially that game where he helped out Steph. Got I think it was the lead 24, 20. It was between 22 and 27, and he had like 14, 15 boards.
Mhm.
But yeah, he's always been great. The reason why I don't think that this is our final ride, and the reason why I think that we are contenders, um, first of all, Steph is gonna Steph. I don't know how, but this 6'3" light skin in Under Armours is consistently finding a way to bring this team across whatever goal lines he can. Um, I saw a stat the other day, like that in the Draymond, Clay, and Steph era, like that's the first playoff series that they've lost, besides in the finals. At least like since they've started winning championships.
I
Of
was gonna
course, I
say
know
because they lost to the Clippers, I think, the year before they
yeah,
won.
2014.
Yeah,
Um, but in the championship era, they haven't
I
lost
get what you
any
mean.
except
Yeah.
for in the finals.
Yep.
But on top of that, they've never lost in less than 6 games ever. Um,
Oh,
they've
they're gonna
always
fight. They're gonna fight, even if they're not hitting shots. They're gonna fight to the very end because then they'll lock up on defense. They'll find other ways to score besides shooting. That's what I love about Steph. Is people think of him as the greatest shooter of all time. I mean, this dude off the dribble can do a lot of things. He's got an elite handle. I mean, he's got great dribbling. I mean, he
yep,
can do a lot of different things besides shooting that people don't really give him credit for. And now he's bulked up. So I mean, now he's being physical down there, down low, and he'll getting you 6 or 7 rebounds a game instead of before being 3 or 4.
yep. Um, it was actually crazy. Had he not gotten injured, he was on pace to average, I think, 30 with 7 boards and I believe 6.5 assists. He was on pace for, but I think the boards went down once he got injured. But yeah, he was rebounding crazy before he got injured. This was definitely his best rebounding year, and he just definitely looked like he'd been showing more, like the work that he puts into that weight room. So yeah, first reason for us not being done and being contenders is Steph. My second reason is our starting 5. Like, it's amazing. Like, when they're on, they're on. I believe last year when we were struggling on the road, even when we were struggling on the road, the starting 5 that we had was the best starting 5 in the NBA. It was just our bench that was terrible. But yeah, our starting 5 is great. It has a really good mix of 3-and-D with Steph. And no, I will stress this, and I will argue with anybody. Steph is not a terrible defender anymore. He hasn't been a terrible defender since, I believe, 2021. I think
Uh,
2019 was his last year being terrible defensively. But since 2021, he's been putting on weight and putting in work on the defensive end. 2022, I think, is when it showed the most. But it was underrated in 2021. 2023, definitely, I don't think you can call him a bottom tier defender. I believe Steph is at best an average, maybe a little above average defender for his size. I would say for his size, not overall, but for his size as a 6'3" guard. He's a good defender. Um, uh, but apart from that, you got Steph. He's not a terrible defender. Best shooter on the team. Best scorer on the team. Um, I would say second best playmaker on the team. Um, with the first, of course, being Draymond. But yeah, he's the second best playmaker, best scorer. Not the best defender, but he's probably the well, no, he's the fifth best defender in the starting five, but still plays pretty good defense. Clay, last year he showed y'all, like except for in that Lakers series and in the playoffs in general, he's still a top tier shooter. Um, I think the game that really woke people up was when he went off for 54. I can't remember who he did it against. I believe it was the Rockets. But he went off for 54 with, I believe, 11 threes, 11 or 12. And it was crazy. Led the league in threes this past year. He's not the defender he used to be, but he's still a pretty decent defender. Wiggins, we just talked about him. He'll go and get you 40, 41, at worst 38, 39% from three. He'll get you 18 points a game, 19 points a game, 20 to 24 on any given night. And he'll give you some really good defense. Draymond plays excellent defense. Claimed for himself to be the best defender in the league. At one time, he was. Now, not so much. But at one time, he definitely was the best defender in the league as far as versatility and ability to produce on the defensive end. Best playmaker on the team, like I said before, sets everything up for everybody. Still a little underrated in my opinion. I think people have started to get this notion that he's overrated, but I think he's still a little bit underrated. He's a decent rebounder, especially for his size. He'll go and get you 7 to 8 boards at 6'6", which is great for us. Looney, he's our big. Like, he'll go and get you 20 boards on any given night, 10 boards any given night. You give him the minutes that he needs, he'll go and produce. Like, he's not the best scorer. He's a good playmaker. He doesn't get the assist numbers that you would have for any other good playmaker, but people don't realize, like, he sets up a lot of stuff for the team too, just like Draymond does. But Looney's really good for us. And then our bench, like this year, I like our bench. Kuminga's coming into, I believe this is his third year. He's going to be great, especially along with Chris Paul, waking up that potential in him. Moody's going to be great. Moody showed really good signs. I believe his first flash that he would be really great was 2022 against the Dallas Mavericks, when I think it was the one game that we lost to the Mavericks. We had almost actually came back because of Moody. Moody was putting in work in that last game that we almost lost, or that we did lose. He was putting in work, and like he was doing so well that Steve Kerr was debating whether or not to put in the starters to finish the game or not, because Moody was the one that brought us back. So Moody's going to be great this year. He even showed signs of it last year too. I like Moody a lot. Chris Paul, like I said before, I truly believe he's going to be a smooth 10 and 10 guy, like 10 points, 10 assists, just because of who he'll have around him. Gary Payton Jr., or Gary Payton II, personally, I would say he's our second best defender on the team, if not third, behind Wiggins and Draymond. He's amazing defensively. He's a lob threat. He's really good at the game itself. Like, he's always been really good at cutting when he needs to cut. He'll go and get you a few offensive rebounds. It's really cool. He's not the worst shooter either. I was talking about Lester Quinones earlier too. Man, Summer League, he was literally looking like he was going to be our next Jordan Poole, and it was a joke. When people were talking about it, it was a joke. But at the same time, like, I can really see it. Like, he has a good scoring bag. Really good around the perimeter at shifting his defenders, getting to where he needs to be, and getting down low into the paint and finishing. So I liked him a lot. Overall, I believe our issue. Oh, Dario Saric is really cool. I remember when I found out that we signed him, and it was really cool because I remember he could shoot. He plays decent defense. He can shoot. Just another big body for us to have. So I'm ready to see what he does for us this season. Our only problem that I see this year uh, is size. Still, we have the shooters, we have scorers, we have defense, but we do not have size. Aside from our starting lineup, our size. Well, actually, now that I think about it, aside from our center position, our size isn't all that bad. Starting lineup, Steph is our smallest guy. Um, Clay is 6'5", I believe, 6'6". Wiggins is 6'7". Draymond is our first undersized guy at 6'6", 6'7". At power forward, and Looney is 6'9". So I like our size, except for at the big position. Bigs are going to give us a fit, and the reason why I say that that's our biggest problem is because the NBA is shifting. For the past few years, the guards have been going wild. It's been Steph, Harden, Westbrook, like people like that making a bunch of noise around the NBA, like these little guys. But over the past couple of years, it's been a shift. It's been Giannis, it's been Jokic, Embiid. Sabonis is starting to come into his own. Wemby's coming into the league. Getting some noise every here and there. Chet being the phenom that we hope that he's going to be. Like it's been the bigs slowly, taking over the league. And I feel like that's going to be a problem for us because the bigs are going to be tearing up our paint defense. I would say that the wheels aren't going to fall off until one of two things happen. Either Steph is going to have to run out of gas and he's going to have to start declining, or Draymond's going to have to run out of gas and he's going to have to completely not be able to produce it all. As long as Steph is still producing at an all NBA level, I believe we have a chance. And as long as Draymond is still the great defender that he is and the great playmaker that he is, I believe we have a chance. I will say that within the next three years, it's boom or bust. Clay had said himself he only has about 5 or 6 years left in him, and he's already started to decline because of injury. But I think the decline is going to get really bad in these next couple of years, 3 to 4 years. So we'll just see what's in store this coming up season.
Wow, you said a lot there. The Warriors, this Warriors dynasty is over. It is over. You said a lot of good points, but I don't think you really are realizing what they are lacking. And first off, looking at this team, outside of Curry, where are you generating offense? Yes, you brought in Chris Paul to help mesh these young guys like Moody, like Kuminga. You wanted to help them try to elevate their style of game. But if you look at the Warriors teams in the past, they had so many other options of scoring. Andre Iguodala could get you 20 on any given night. Sean Livingston, David West. I mean, when in their 2022 season, they had Jordan Poole. So you had so many other options of scoring besides Stephen Curry. And I thought last year in the Kings and the Lakers series, it really showed that it was Curry or bust. I mean, Klay Thompson wasn't able to show up. You had Jordan Poole being ineffective and inefficient as hell, as he usually is. And Draymond Green can only do so much being that facilitator and that defensive juggernaut. You're relying on Andrew Wiggins to be that next guy to step up. And I just don't think he's a guy that you want to be that second option on your team. You want somebody like Jordan Poole. You want somebody like Klay Thompson to be your second option. And in my opinion, Klay Thompson is just not what he used to be. Yes, he had his moments last year. Yes, he was effective. Yes, he had that 54 bomb. He's made 11 threes in a game, but it's not as consistent as it was back in 2018, 2019 when he was having career years being an all-star level player. And that has partially to do with his ACL and Achilles injuries because he doesn't have that quick step that he used to have defensively. So a lot of people don't look at him the same as they did back in 2018, 2019. I think this Chris Paul move showed that it's like a last resort type of move. They looked at their options out there, like, we don't have a lot of options. Why don't we get Chris Paul to see if he could put us over that edge one more time? I um I don't think that they're going to be a horrible team, because I still think Stephen Curry is going to be that guy. I still think Klay Thompson can help out this team a little bit. I think Draymond Green is still a pretty good defender, and obviously his IQ is through the roof. But when you're relying on a Jonathan Kuminga, a Gary Payne, a Moses Moody to be those other guys stepping up, I don't think they're quite ready for that, because we saw Jonathan Kuminga last year fall out of the rotation. He was playing for the last minute scraps. He wasn't even being a second in that second unit anymore. And I thought that was a little strange to see, when I thought he was supposed to be your next Andrew Wiggins. You
And
have very little depth at the center position with Looney and Saric. Not that they're bad players. I just think, like you were saying earlier, you need other big men to step up in on this team, and I just don't think Saric and Looney is the perfect 1-2 duo in that center position. I think you need more guys, like you're saying, like a Miles Turner, like a Brook Lopez, like just somebody other than this. You have three options at the center position, not just two, because I think they're undersized centers. I don't think they're true big centers. I think they play more of a power forward position.
and what I will say, just to interject really quick, yes, we are relying on Kaminga and Moody and Lester Quinones to come into their own, but that reliance, it would be different if, these guys, like last year. Last year it was a little bit delusional, I will say, to just believe that second year, oh yeah, these guys are going to give us 11, 12, 13, 14 points off the bench each. That's a little delusional. But they've been with us since we won that championship. They were there when we won the championship. They've seen what it takes to have a championship team. They have a veteran that's willing to build them up, and especially for Kuminga, one that plays to his strengths really well. I don't mind relying on them. Like I said, Steph is gonna Steph. He's gonna keep us going till the wheels fall off. I believe that the reason why Kuminga fell out of the rotation last year is because a lot of our bench players were veterans, or not if not veterans, they were guys that have been in the league a little bit longer. We had Dante coming off the bench, so Michael Green, GP2 was coming off the bench, like guys that have been
Yeah,
there
but he's not
long.
a veteran.
Well, no, he's not, but I'm saying guys. Well, GP2's been in the league for a while. It's just he's
He
been.
has, but he hasn't been in a significant role like he has with his Warriors before. So I don't really think you could categorize him as a veteran. And that's
I,
where I think there's part of an issue too, is that you need veteran pieces on a championship level team. And the only veteran I see coming off your bench is Chris Paul and Dario Saric. Dario Saric with very little to no playoff experience, and Chris Paul, who's been known as labeled as a choker and somebody who can't get it done in the playoffs, which I think should be a worry for Warriors fans.
so, with the veteran thing, I wouldn't say. I don't know. That's hard because 2022. If we're being honest, who was our veteran that year? I would say Andre Iguodala, like our veteran, like our top veteran. I
And
would
he
say
still played.
he still played, but
He didn't play like he did back in the day, but he was playing and contributing. Not
not
like a Haslam where he was just sitting on the bench and not doing anything, being more of a vocal leader and not actually physically playing. But
well,
he
no,
still played and gave contribution.
that's what he turned into towards the end of the finals. I don't think he played a lot in the finals, and what he
No,
did play.
yeah. I'm just saying in the finals run though.
Uh, in the finals run, he did play a little bit, but once it got to the finals, he did turn into more of that Udonis Haslam role, where he was just vocal coaching, giving little tips and tricks to the younger players and everything. So that was our veteran
No,
in.
yeah, you had Otto Porter also. You had
But I
DiVincenzo.
don't really, I don't view him as the veteran that Andre Iguodala is. Like the type of veteran that I'm thinking
No, but
of.
what I'm getting at is just veteran pieces that can make winning plays. Like you look at your from 2015 to 2019, you had Sean Livingston, Andre Iguodala, David West, what's his name, Barbosa. Like you
Mhm.
had these veteran pieces that you could put in on when Curry and Thompson needed rest, and they weren't going to screw up a play. That they weren't going to lose a lead. They were going to maintain a lead and or get a bigger lead. And you look at this team this year, and you're relying on Moses Moody and Kaminga to be those guys to hold those leads, to keep those leads valid, and or make them better, and or when the Warriors are down, to have them come back and gain a lead. And that
Mhm.
just is worrisome to me when you look at a Warriors roster that is a win now situation, whereas these guys they haven't been given those reps like those guys that are veterans have had before.
Yep. Um, that's where Chris Paul comes in. That's even though like you said, he's been labeled as a choker, but he still has that experience in the playoffs. Um, as much as we clown him for it, and as much as we might call that year a fluke, um, he has finals experience. He knows what it takes to get to the finals, not necessarily win them, but to get to them. And I don't think that he's like, I get it. He's not a he's not an Andre Iguodala. He's not a Sean Livingston that'll just go get you buckets like 16 to 20 a game whenever you need it. But he's still a veteran that's going to teach you how to play the game in a winning fashion. Like, I don't think people realize when they talk about Chris Paul in the playoffs that he's still a winner.
How?
He's still a winner, not a championship winner.
It doesn't have to be a championship, but as long as you're competing, he always folds late in a playoff series.
But he's been competing, has he not? Let's be real. If we're being so real, and I'm not even saying this just because he's on our team, I've said this pretty much since 2021. Let's be real. There hasn't been a year where we can honestly just say Chris Paul, I get it. He's had games or series where he's folded and lost his team the series. But we can't sit here and say that Chris Paul has never been or made his team competitive. The whole narrative around Chris Paul that he makes better. Chris Paul
You're right. Okay, you're correct in saying he's a competitor. He's a leader. He's always gonna have his team in a game. But when people label him as one of the best point guards of all time, and you don't have one, or you have one finals appearance, but almost all playoffs you have been in, you have had a lead in and lost it. You go back to the Clippers, he choked a 3-1 lead against the Houston Rockets. Phoenix, he had a 2-0 lead against Milwaukee. He had a 2-0 lead against Dallas. I mean, in every playoff series, he just always finds a way to come up short. And I don't know why you would want that guy as your veteran coming off your bench, being technically the sixth man on your team. I don't get why you would think that's going to be a good fit. I just have seen Chris Paul too many times in playoffs, regular season. He just isn't the guy you want on your team. It's sad because we all want to see Chris Paul succeed. We all want to see him compete for that championship, but he doesn't do us any favors when he's folding, getting injured, losing playoff series that he should be winning. I wouldn't trust him being my veteran coming off the bench and him being basically my only veteran that I have to rely on come playoff time.
And that's where I would say our starters. Like,
they're gonna have to carry again.
What'd you say?
They're gonna have to carry, is what you're saying, basically.
Well, of course,
they did last year, but that's what they tried to do last year.
But they're not gonna have to. I don't think they're gonna have to carry as bad as they did last year. I think that the bench, even though, like, I get it, you're saying Chris Paul isn't the winner that people would say that he is, but I think that he's still a better fit for the bench that we have than Jordan Poole was for the bench that we had before. Yes, Jordan Poole was going to get you he was getting you 20 a night. Yes, that's cool. What is he doing for the other players on the bench? Nothing. He wasn't
I
doing
don't
a lot.
deny that. I don't deny that Jordan Poole was a bad fit. I don't like Jordan Poole. I think he's inefficient. I think he's streaky. I'm not a fan of him. But I don't
Don't get
think
me wrong.
trading for Chris Paul was the right move. I think you go out and get a veteran leader and or a few pieces to help this team out. You could have gotten another big, like even somebody like a Robin Lopez. I know he's not as good as Brook, but you could have brought in a veteran like that, as well
Mhm.
as maybe a couple shooters like trying to even think of players right now. But you could have brought like say you trade with Milwaukee, you trade for Pat Connaughton as well as Robin Lopez. I
Mhm.
would love that. That would be, you add veteran pieces that have been in championship experiences before and can contribute. I'm not
So
denying that Jordan Poole was a weird fit for the Warriors because I think I agree with that, but I don't think Chris Paul was the right player to trade for.
in a way, he well, let me not even say in a way. I don't think that he was, but just for me trying to make light of the situation. Um, we actually kind of did make the moves that you just detailed. Even though we didn't make as many as them as I wanted, we went out and got another big. Even though he's not 7 foot, went out and got Dario Saric. We did sign another guard. I'm trying to find him, but he's not on our roster yet. We traded for another guard,
I was
and I
gonna
know
say
for
what shooting slash scoring did you add to this team?
um, we got Corey Joseph, and then of course
I
the
think that's
rookie.
cool. I mean, it's not moving me too much. It's cool.
It's not, but Corey Joseph is a really good
Like I
shooter.
like that. I like that as your veteran piece, as a solid backup. I like that. I like that more than Chris Paul. Because Chris
I
Paul is a starter. He's not a bench player. Corey
He's not.
Joseph is a solid, like he's played that position before. He knows how to do it. This is gonna be Chris Paul's first year coming off the bench and trying to
Yep.
figure out how to play this way. So it's gonna be halfway through the season. He's trying to figure out how to mesh with these players coming off the bench. He might be playing in the end team. I don't know. They always call it the closing lineup. And does he play with the closing lineup? Does he not? I mean, it's gonna be all a mental like shift for him. He's gonna. This is something he's not used to doing.
So to answer one of those questions, is he going to play with the ending lineup, or I think what people call his death lineup? Um, Most likely, it just depends on the situation. There were times last year when they decided to keep Looney in. There were times last year also when they decided, okay, maybe Jordan Poole was the better fit for the end of this game specifically. I remember in the Denver series, we decided to keep Jordan Poole in a lot. He was doing a lot better against Denver in his role than Looney was. So I think it'll be the same situation for Chris Paul. Steve Kerr has his moments where I doubt him, but overall, he's a good coach.
No, I don't doubt Steve Kerr.
Um,
Think Steve Kerr. I was gonna ask you that question, but I don't think it's even worth it if he's also on his last legs of like them trying to possibly fire him. But no, I don't think there's
no,
any question with Steve Kerr. I think Steve Kerr's the guy. I think he's the perfect fit for a guy like Steph and this whole Warriors organization.
I
I wouldn't
don't
have
question.
doubts with him. I just have doubts with this whole team. I just don't think there's enough
I,
pieces on this team, and I don't think the pieces you got are enough to get you over the hump. I mean, last year you were relying on the starting lineup to carry you, and we saw how it turned out. This year you're saying kind of the same thing. They have to rely on the starters heavily, and I think Klay Thompson is towards the back half of his career. I think Draymond Green has a few years left in him. And Curry, I just think is gonna get if you're making Steph Curry do exactly what he was doing last year, running around the court, moving, going through all these picks, going through all these screens, cutting to the basket, he's just gonna get gassed out come playoff time like he did last year. And I just don't think it's a recipe for success if you are the Warriors.
so my thing with that is, well, really quick. I really like Corey Joseph, like you were saying. Corey
I like
Joseph,
that. No, I like that move. I'm a fan.
pretty decent defender actually, and he's also a really good shooter. As of the last few years, he's been in between 36 and 40% from three for the last few years. But yeah, I
But he
like him.
does good with the ball in his hands, and I don't know how that's going to work if Chris Paul is coming off the bench. Also, that means you're taking the ball out of Corey Joseph's hands.
And it just depends on how Corey Joseph will do as a spot up shooter. Because he's definitely going to be playing with Chris Paul. Um, But to detail that, when you said that if they're gonna have Steph in the same role as they did last year, are they gonna have Clay in the same role as they did last year? Clay is definitely not gonna have the same. Well, let me not say definitely, but the only reason why Clay was getting as much rep as he was last year is because of Steph's injury. If we're being completely honest, which should have helped him in my opinion, but it just didn't work out that way. I guess he got burnt out come playoff time too. But Steph said it, Clay said it. Chris Paul being there, like when he does get the opportunity to play with Steph and Clay, is gonna make life easier on them. I don't think it's gonna be necessarily a terrible thing for all three of them to be on the same court or on the court at the same time. Makes Steph's life easier. Doesn't have to bring up the ball. Can go spot up if he wants to. Clay can go do the same thing, but he'll definitely be found. I think that's really good for us. Now, as far as us relying on the starting lineup, I definitely believe that we're going to ask a lot of the starting lineup this year. But
which I think is bad.
It's bad, but it's not going to be as bad as it was last year.
I think it's going to be worse because just their ages. You don't want to rely on them heavily in the regular season. You want that starting lineup to be healthy, rested, and ready for the playoffs. And if you're fighting for a third place spot in the regular season, then they're just going to be gassed by the time playoff comes. Now, you could do what you did last year and coast the regular season, but it didn't seem like they were coasting. They just couldn't find ways to win games on the road. They just were struggling. And if you're saying that they're a different team than last year, what the hell is different from last year? Not that much. Besides Jordan Poole's gone, and you bring in an older player in Chris Paul.
I would say with that, I think that we're just different from last. I think last year's road struggles were a fluke.
I don't know how going neutral.
That's not something that's been consistent at all. In the championship years in 2013, I've never seen something that bad.
But that's because this team is so different than those teams.
It is, but at the same time, I don't think it's gonna be that bad. Okay, maybe.
Oh no, you're being very optimistic here.
I am.
You're being very optimistic. You are the Warriors fan, but you are being very optimistic here. All right, closing statement for this because we got to move on. We are. This topic has been taking a long time. Final statement for you.
The Warriors, man.
Oh, Warriors.
The Warriors. I think we got it this year. Not this. Oh, let me make this be known.
Go ahead.
Best believe if things don't work, just like how we were talking about, if Dame is gonna go to
okay.
Best believe.
Okay.
No. I'm not gonna make something unrealistic. Best believe if things don't work out in the first 35 games, there's just still a trade deadline. Hey, we're not stuck with everybody. Maybe we just need to figure out what
you're right. I don't know who you would go after, but
a big. It would be
big. I was thinking James Harden.
No, please no.
What?
No.
All right. I'm not gonna get into that. All right. Final statement for me. This Warriors dynasty is over, but Steph Curry is not done winning rings. He will win another ring, but I don't think it will be with Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. I think this Warriors trio is finally done winning championships.
Okay. One more thing. Okay, I misunderstood your question. When you said Warriors dynasty, I thought you meant the days of the Warriors winning rings in the present day being over. I didn't know you meant like Steph, Clay, and Dre winning rings.
But that's what I think of the dynasty. It's those three. They're the ones that started the dynasty. So that's why when I say dynasty, I mean them. Because I think once Clay and Dre leaves, it's a whole new Warriors team. It's not going to be the same as before. That's why I think Steph will still win another ring because of something that will happen in the future. Because I do believe he will get another superstar to come to Golden State with him. But I do think Dre, Clay, and Steph are done winning rings together. I don't think Clay's going to get his fifth ring like he says he was going to in the offseason.
If that's the case, then I see this dynasty being over in the next 2 years. If not this year, then definitely.
You just said they're going to win it this year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's boomer bust these next 2 years.
Okay.
Boomer bust.
Okay. I do not think they are going to be a not they'll be competitive. I don't think they'll be a deep playoff team. All right. Moving on. I want to give early MVP predictions. Do you want to go 3 players or do you want to do 5 players?
We'll do 5.
5. Okay. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go first?
I'll go first just to get it out
All
the
right.
way.
Go ahead with
All right.
your early MVP predictions.
I'll just rank them by how
Go
like
go 5-1. Don't go 1-5. I hate when people do that.
so 5. I'm
And just do
Warriors.
like a little example of like why you think, but don't like do like a whole 25-minute thing per player.
Yeah. Um, I'm a Warriors fan. 5 is Steph Curry. Revenge season.
Wow. I thought he'd be
Yeah.
a lot higher on your list.
Nope. I realize how times are changing, but yeah, 5. I would say Steph Curry. Revenge season. He's gonna be on a team that I believe is gonna win at least 50 games, 45 to 50 games. I feel like that's decent enough for you to be considered an MVP. Easily can get you 30 a game. Showed last season he can get you 6 boards, 6 assists. Great numbers on great efficiency. That's a great recipe for an MVP.
Love that.
On my list at 4, I'm gonna go De'Aaron Fox.
Ooh, like
Sneaky
that.
MVP. He's gonna be on a team again that's gonna win at least 45 to 50 games. I see him getting better than he was last year. I see him being between 25 to 27 points per game, 7 to 8 assists, 5 boards. Pretty good in the paint. Gonna have good efficiency, maybe even up his shooting numbers, get his 3-point percentage up, and he'll be on a pretty good team. Like I said before, great recipe for an MVP. At 3 on my list, I'm gonna go Luca. This doesn't need much explanation. Luca's crazy. I just think it depends on how well his team does and how much I won't say how much Kyrie takes away from him, but I'll say like how much his efficiency suffers or increases due to having another scorer with him. At 2, I'll say Jokic. Love Jokic.
He should be a 3-time MVP, but it's okay.
Hey, anybody's opinion. In my opinion, he should have been, but I'll still say that Embiid deserved it. They both
He's weak. All right, go ahead.
Wow. Like I said with Luka, not much explanation needed. Gonna have a great record, gonna have great stats, just great recipe for an MVP. And at number 1, I'm going to have Giannis.
Yep, we like that.
I see him coming back, like cut the hair and everything. He said it's his revenge season.
He's on his shit.
I think he's gonna come on his 2001 Shaq.
Yes.
Before I pass it over to you, I will say I do have 2 dark horses for MVP that were just outside of my top 5, and those 2 are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Trae Young.
Ooh, okay. I like that Trae Young one. I do like that. What makes you think Trae will be a dark horse?
Trae, just because I don't think his team is going to find as much success as it did before. I believe, I know for a fact that John Collins is gone now. He's with the Jazz, but I believe now his second best player, if we want to get technical, it could be Clint Capella, but I would probably say that it's Sadiq Bey.
Wow, man, the disrespect to DeJounte is crazy.
Oh, I keep forgetting that DeJounte is on that team.
I was about to say, man.
Under the radar.
Holy damn.
His third best player is probably Sadiq Bey, I believe, if he's on the Hawks.
Have you heard the rumors of them trying to get Pascal?
I have. I don't see it happening though. I think their gateway to getting Pascal was probably John Collins, and he's gone.
I forgot who they said DeAndre Hunter, and I believe it was either Bogey or there was somebody else I can't think of right now. I'm not looking at their roster. All right, my MVP predictions. I don't have any dark horses. I didn't do that, so I don't have that. Number 5 for me is Luka. I
Mhm.
think Luca will have another efficient, really dope season. I think he's just so good of a player. It's hard not to have him in this conversation, but why I don't have him higher on my list is because I think Kyrie is going to take a lot of the load off of him, and we're going to see more success because of Kyrie Irving
Mm,
instead of Luka Doncic. Number
right.
4 for me is Shea. I think Shea is gonna have an amazing season. I think that 1-2 punch with Chet Holmgren is gonna be amazing. We're gonna see more of his all-around game. We're gonna see his playmaking improve. We're gonna see his defense be a lot better because last year I think we saw how much of an offensive scorer he can be. This year I think we're gonna see the more all-around game from Shea. We're not gonna see just the scoring.
Oh,
Number 3, I have Devin Booker. I have Devin Booker because when they traded for Bradley Beal, we saw last year how great Devin Booker became when he was playing off of Kevin Durant. Now you bring in another scorer in Bradley Beal. I feel we are going to see Devin Booker scoring numbers just skyrocket. He's going to get a lot of open looks because of the threat that Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant possesses. They said they're
mhm.
going to bring Devin Booker and play him at the point guard, so we're going to see his playmaking because I do think he is an underrated playmaker, even though I don't think he's a great one. I think he
Yeah.
is underrated in that aspect because we saw him in the playoffs a lot be that point guard role when Chris Paul was hurt. And I just think we're going to see Devin Booker, especially come playoff time, average 30, 35 points a game because of him getting so many open looks with Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant being on his team.
Right.
And number 2 for me, I'm same for you. I have Joker. I would love to see Joker win another ring. I think Joker is going to have another efficient IQ season. I mean, there's not too much to say about Joker. I think his team's going to be number 1, number 2 in the West again. I don't think he will be better than this man at number 1. And at number 1, I have Giannis because, like you said, shaved his head, put revenge tour in his bio. I just think he's tired of the disrespect. He's tired of people saying his game doesn't translate to today's NBA because he can't shoot, because he can't make middies. Uh, that run last year against Miami, that playoff run, it's a fluke. He was injured. He was injured for 2 of the games, I believe, and he
Mhm.
came back and still put up, I think, 30 and like 15 or something. So it wasn't his fault that they lost. There was a lot of other reasons why they couldn't close a game. Chris Middleton wasn't showing up. Drew Holiday wasn't showing up. So I think we're going to see a whole different version of Giannis, like you're saying, 0-1 Shaq. I think we're just going to see Giannis, and he's going to show us why he is the best player in the world and take back that status of being the most dominant and best player in the NBA.
Yeah. Um, I would with Devin Booker. I'm not surprised at it. I'm not even mad at it. Actually, it's actually pretty smart. But my thing with Devin Booker is, are they going to? I feel
Be
like
good
at
enough.
I wouldn't even say that. I would say, well, maybe that because I don't know about their defense as
I don't
much.
think they're going to be a good team, but I still think with that firepower, they'll still be somewhat of a contender. But I think
Yeah,
come
for
playoff
sure.
time is when they're going to get exposed of lack of defense and lack of depth. I do think they signed a lot of good pieces because they got Watanabe, they brought in Bobo, they brought in Eric Gordon. So I still think they brought in some decent pieces. I just still
Mhm.
think they don't have enough, and they got rid of too much when they brought in Bradley Beal, and then they also traded for Kevin Durant because I thought Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson was a huge loss.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I would just say with D Book, are they going to, so because they have Bradley Beal, right? Um, like, are they going to start, instead of keying in, like, I know you're looking at it as, okay, well, now that KD's the best player on the team, uh they start keying in on KD more, so D Book gets more open looks. Well, now that Bradley Beal is here, in all honesty, like, I personally expect them to key in more on Bradley Beal than they, or not Bradley Beal, more on D Book than they will Bradley Beal. And I don't think that's going to make his stats drop or anything, but I don't see him getting that 4 to 5 point boost that some people might think that he would, just
I get what
because
you're
the way
saying.
that he would get that is most likely if like teams decided, okay, yeah, the best 2 players on the team are KD and Brad Beal, so let's key in on them. Okay, D Book's gonna get an extra 5 to 6 open looks just off of that. I
I
personally
think.
think they're gonna
Go ahead.
key
Sorry.
in. Sorry.
No, you're
I
good. You're
personally
good.
think they're gonna key in on D Book more, just because, uh, partially because I personally think that D Book is better than Bradley Beal, but also just because of what everybody saw from this past playoffs. Like he was
Mm-hmm.
torching. He was
He was
torching.
torching everybody. It wasn't even just torching; it was his efficiency. I mean, because he was taking some tough ass shots, man. And I was just like,
Yep.
how are these going in? That's part of the reason why I think he will be better. Is just because he's taking so many tough shots. It's like, how are you supposed to guard this man? But I also think Bradley Beal is a more dimensional scorer to where they're
Mhm.
gonna have to key in more with Beal than they are Booker. Booker to
Right.
me is a mid-range assassin, but Beal for me is a better three-point shooter, as well
Mhm.
as he can get to the bat. What's the what I want to say? He's got a better
He's a
like
better slash.
layup package. I want to say, yeah, slasher type player.
Mhm.
I think he's better than Booker at that because I think Booker is mainly a mid-range to three-point assassin, whereas Beal can be more 3D dimensional. And I think they're gonna have to key in more on Beal. But I definitely get you what you're saying with Booker last year in the playoffs, showing just how efficient he was and how deadly he was, to where they're probably gonna have to key in more on Booker than Beal. But I think it's gonna be the other way around personally. But we will
Yeah.
have to see on that.
And side note, I don't think a lot of people remember. Like a lot of people like to crap on D Book, like to hate on D Book. I get it with the series he had against Luca. A lot of y'all don't remember. Even before Chris Paul got there in 2021 or 2020, was it 2021?
2021, yeah, the 21,
Yeah.
22 season.
When he got before Chris Paul got there, a lot of people like
Oh wait,
say,
no.
"Oh, it was a fluke. Oh, it was a joke." He was seven. He did go undefeated in the bubble. It just didn't make the
Okay,
playoffs.
I get that, but it was like, okay, what does it matter if he won on a little streak? It's not like they did anything with it.
It was the teams that he was beating.
It's
He beat
true.
the he beat the top teams that went on to go far into the playoffs.
But that team wasn't a bad team because of what they had. Rubio, they had Sarge on that team.
Mhm.
They had
And
I
that
don't Aiton
Rubio
was Aiden there already?
Ayton?
I think
Yes.
yeah, he was because Luca was there. Yeah, Aiden was there. So I mean, they had a solid team.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a bad team they had, but I don't think because I don't want to label that
I'm
as a
not
Devin
saying
Booker
that they would have won the
masterclass.
finals. Yeah, no. I
Oh
would
no,
just
no, no,
it's,
no, no, no. No
no.
one's saying that, but
I just
they
think
definitely
that
deserve more credit than what people
yeah,
give them for.
that's what I'm saying. I just think that they not just Booker, but because he was the lead of that team, I definitely think he deserves more credit than what y'all give him for at least that year alone. But
I get you. Okay. All right. I like that. I like that. I love the Trey Young one and I love the Fox one. I don't know if I agree with the Fox one, but I love we're showing respect to Fox because Fox is one of my favorites.
the
We're
Fox one
gonna go
stems
ahead.
from the Fox
No,
one
you're
more
good.
so the fact that he's the one making his team so good. Like the leap that he took, along with Sabonis, I'm gonna give Sabonis his credit for sure, but he's the one pushing his team over the edge. That's
Oh,
why
it's definitely it's not Sabonis because we saw Sabonis get exposed a little bit in the playoffs against the Warriors. They were
yeah,
hunting him on defense, and
yeah.
I don't know if that series doesn't turn out different if Fox doesn't get hurt because he got his index finger was really bugging him towards the later half of that series.
It was. I'll say that I don't know because
I don't know if it changes the series, but I mean Fox just wasn't the same after he got hurt. He
he
had one
wasn't.
big game after that, and before that, I think he put up. I want to say put up a 40 ball, and then he put up a 30 ball in games 1 and 2,
Yeah,
and it just he was on a different level.
yeah. I won't just outright say that we would have lost. I'll say that the outcome of that series uh definitely would have been accredited to two things, and that's him getting injured and Steph starting to go crazy.
But the reason Steph went crazy was partial because of Fox getting hurt.
Right, because they were able to make it to that game 7.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I don't know. It's that's definitely an interesting one. I think if Fox doesn't get hurt, I think things go differently. But that's just me.
Mhm.
All right. We're gonna end off the show with giving you guys 3 of our hot takes going into the NBA season. Basically just giving you guys takes that we think that are gonna happen that a lot of people are not talking about. Would you like to start, or do you want me to give my 3 first?
You can go first.
All right. I'll go 3-1 of like my least hot takes to my biggest hot takes. Number 3 for me is Dallas will be a top 2 seed in the Western Conference. I think
Hmm.
the duo between Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving is going to be one of, if not the best duo in the league. I think we saw glimpses of it last year, but obviously because their team wasn't as good last year, that they weren't able to really show off their skills. I think Jaden Hardy is going to come in and be a big piece of this team. I like him a lot. He seems like a Tyrese Maxey type of third star on this team. He can
Mm.
be. Um, and I just think Kyrie Irving's going to come in more locked in. He signed the deal finally. He got his contract that he wanted. He's locked in with this team. So I think he's going to come in with a more relaxed demeanor and a more ready to win mentality. I like
Right.
the players they added. They added a slasher and Seth Curry. I actually really like the Dante Exum pick because he can bring in some good defense. I know he's been in and out of the league for a long time, but I really like that because they brought in another defensive presence.
Right.
Rich Holmes. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I like the Holmes pickup because that brings in another defensive guy in the trenches. Derek Jones, an athletic guy that can go over the rim. And then they brought in Grant Williams. I completely forgot about this move. They brought in Grant
Yeah.
Williams, which I think is going to be their perfect 3-and-D guy that I thought they were missing for these past few years. They drafted Derek Lively, which I think he won't start off immediately, but I think he'll be the starting center halfway through the season. So I see Dallas being a top 2, maybe top 3 seed in the Western Conference, but I think they're going to really solidify themselves, and Luka and Kyrie are going to show why they're one of the best duos in the league. Number 2, I have the Orlando Magic will make the playoffs, not just the play-in. I think they will make the playoffs. I think they have all the pieces they need. I think Paulo will be taking a step, especially playing for Team USA. Franz is going to continue to do his thing, being able to contribute in every way, rebounding, playmaking, scoring. I think Markelle Fultz is a very underrated player. I don't think people remember. He was the first overall pick back in 2016. He can hoop. He's really showed his playmaking and IQ is high. Obviously, his jumper needs to be worked on, but I think he has improved tremendously on it. And I just
Hmm.
like everything on this team, man. I really like everything. I mean, even Jalen Suggs is like a Marcus Smart type of player. Obviously, he's not the scorer that Marcus Smart can be, but I think Jalen Suggs is an underrated defender. He's very good. They got Mo Wagner coming off the bench. Wendell Carter Jr. I love just everything they have on this team. I think they're going to be a solid team, and I think they will make the playoffs this year. And number
Right.
1 for me, even though we're talking about Devin Booker being amazing, I think Phoenix will be a disaster. I think Phoenix will lose in the first round if they make it to the first round. I don't think this team will really mesh the way it should. Yes, their offensive scoring is going to be amazing. They could put up 120 points a game, but I
Mm.
just think getting rid of Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, losing all of your defensive depth that you have, and you bring in older veteran guys that aren't known as defenders. Watanabe is a 3-point shooter. Eric Gordon's a 3-and-D guy. Bol is not really known as a defender. Yes, he's tall and he could get you some blocks, but he's not going to go lock up the best player on the other team. I don't think, unless we see Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant become elite defenders, I don't see how this team is going to be a very successful team, because at the end of the day, you need defense as much as you need offense in today's league. You still need defense to win championships. You look at the Denver Nuggets; they had defenders on that team. You look at the Miami Heat; obviously, they have defenders on that team. The Warriors, when they won in 2022, they had defenders on that team. I don't look at the Phoenix Suns and I don't see any elite defenders on this team. I don't think there is one that could be a DPOY, one that could be
Mhm.
all team defense. So I think this was
Um,
a
I would
very
say,
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, you're good.
Um, I would say that honestly, their best defender right now is KD. If
That's
we're being
great.
real
That's
honest,
not gonna get you very far.
it's not. It's not
It's
at
not.
all.
It's
That's the
not gonna
problem.
get you very far. I think this Bradley Beal move was a impulse decision. They thought, oh, we weren't able to outscore Denver, so let's go get another scorer that can mesh on this team. And yes, it's gonna help you offensively, but you got rid of all your depth for it. I don't know why people or all these teams think, let's go get a superstar and destroy our depth. It always blows up in their face. It
Yep.
always does. Look at what the Lakers did with getting rid of all their depth with Kyle Kuzma, KCP. I forgot the other
And
player they got rid of.
I was literally just about to say that.
Yeah,
That is quite
look what they did to
literally.
get Russ, and look, it blew up in their face. Yes, they're
Yep.
able to get out underneath of Russ, but it took them a whole year of not making the playoffs to get there. So I don't think Phoenix, this team is really going to mesh, and I think it's going to end up blowing up in their face. And we are gonna again look at KD as, man, you cannot win without the Warriors.
Right.
Those
I
are
don't
my
think
three
there's
hot
been
takes.
I don't think there's been a single trade for a superstar where you've had to give up your depth in the past few years, at least, where a team has actually won. You look at, let's just go back as early as I'd say 2015. Warriors, they built that core, they won. Uh, Cavs, they didn't have to trade for LeBron. I don't think they ended up
No, he
getting it
signed there. They traded for Love, but all they did was trade Wiggins. That wasn't like a superstar move.
right. So you weren't giving up a lot of your depth. 2017, KD, he signed. 18, 19, or 18, KD, he signed.
I guess you could say Kawhi.
But he was a
Kawhi
free
to
agent, was he not?
Toronto. No, he got traded there.
Oh, you're right. But they didn't give up a lot of depth
They didn't.
for
They
him,
just gave up Demar and Jakob Pertl. Isn't what we're talking about. We're talking about you trading for one superstar and gutting your team.
right. So
I can't think of one that was successful. I mean, you look at Dwight Howard getting traded to the Lakers, blew up in their face. You look at when Karl Malone, I don't think that was a trade. I think Karl Malone signed there. I guess you could say the Boston Celtics was a success with KG, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce. That was the only one I could think of that was a success. But
they didn't
other
get
than
long
that,
success. They had
I see. As I say, we can argue this: was it really a success? They won 1 year, then they lost every other year. It's like the Rams in the NFL. They blew up their whole team to go get 1 ring. It's like, is that really considered a success? You got your ring, so I guess it is. It is.
They beat my Bengals.
Yeah, baby, Rams house. Back on topic though. I just don't. I don't think these moves in the end work out, and I think they're really impulse. They're like, oh my god, we can go get a 25 to 30 point per game scorer and just go outscore everybody. Everybody thought Brooklyn was going to do the same thing. Granted, they got hurt, yes, but even before the playoffs started, people had questions about them because they weren't really meshing together. They were like a 500 team for a little bit before they started really taking off, and James Harden became that pure point guard that was an MVP caliber player.
Yeah, Brooklyn is the only team. I'm not going to give them a pass, but I will say they were the closest to success outside of 2008. Just because I wholeheartedly believe that if Brooklyn would have made that finals, they would have won. But yeah, outside of them, nobody's really had significant signs of being able to show that you can win and win more than 1 year.
Gutting your team. Yeah, I agree.
But now I'll give my 3. I'll try to stay away from Warriors hot takes because I have a lot of those.
You can give one if you want, because I mean, it don't matter. They're your takes.
I've already given most of them. Even just that we're gonna win this year was a hot take. So
that's a huge hot take.
Let's see. I'll say that one that I've had for a while is that since he got drafted, I blanked on his name. I couldn't remember which twin it was. I believe that Asar Thompson is going to win Rookie of the Year.
That's the one that went to Detroit?
Yep.
Okay.
Or I believe Asar went to Detroit. If not, then it was a man. Let me look it up.
I think a man went to Houston, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, a man went to the Rockets. And
okay. Yeah.
Asar went to the Pistons. I believe he'll be Rookie of the Year.
That's definitely a hot take. Because I think Chet's gonna win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I believe it's a hot take just because of not because of his talent, but just because of who he's running against. But he's great. I actually tuned in to Overtime Elite a lot. I've always believed in the Thompson twins. If not anybody else from OTE, I've always believed in the Thompson twins. Asar is great defender. I'd probably say that outside of Wemby, he and his brother might be the best defenders in the draft class. As far as versatility,
this might be a hot take too. I mean, I'm not solely bought in on Victor yet.
As a defender, I am. As an overall player, not so much.
Because like they're
Um,
comparing him being generational like LeBron was, and I don't I the first game him being kind of locked up, I just was a little nervous. I feel like the
no,
pressure's kind of getting into him a little bit.
he got it. He got it together in his second game,
He did,
and
he did.
even just in watching the few games, like on the NBA app, they started broadcasting a couple of his games with the Metropolitan 92. He was really good, like crazy.
I'm not
I
denying he's
did,
good in that, but it's just the NBA is so much more physical than those type of leagues, in my opinion.
it is, and he's a little bit more filled out than Chet was in his rookie year, but he's still quite skinny. So
I do believe that his route was better because he got more experience in college. I don't believe college is a great opportunity to really get you prepared for the NBA because I
right,
feel college is just a completely different game. But Victor looked a little bit timid to me and like hesitant to like really let loose, and I don't know why. I don't know if
and he
he's
but he said why.
nervous.
He told everybody, he was like, in all honesty, I didn't know what I was doing out there. And I don't know if that's partially because of who his coach was while he was playing in the summer league. I don't know if that's just because he was confused about what his role should be because he has all these other younger guys around him. But he said flat out, like, I just didn't know what I was doing out there. But
Mhm.
he got it together in his second game out there, and he looked pretty good. He looked like exactly what we wanted him to be. Um, but yeah, as far as Asar, I think I personally think he's a better defender than Amen. So I would say that he's the second best defender in the draft class behind Wemby. Um, Great passer. I probably say on a nightly basis, but just for his rookie year, I'll say just for his rookie year, he'll probably get you a smooth 5 to 6 assists a night, 5 to 6, maybe 7 rebounds a night, and 14, 15, 16 points a night. That's great for a rookie. He's really good all around on offense and on defense. Um, Great athletically. Showtime. He's also really good at performing. Really cool on the fast breaks and everything. He's gonna draw a lot of people to Detroit, along with Cade and Marvin Bagley, and Jaden Ivey. Um, he's gonna have a great year, and I think that Detroit is gonna have a lot of success, not a lot of success, but a lot more success than people would think, because of the pieces that they're gonna have coming back this year with Marvin Bagley, Cade. They're gonna have Jaden Ivey. They're gonna have Asar. So it's gonna be a good year for them. Not a great year, but it's gonna be a good year for them. And I think that success, along with just how much he produces on every facet of basketball itself, um, it's going to put him in position to win. Um, yes, I realize that he's competing against Chet and Wemby and Scoot, but just off of how much he produces at every end and, you know, everything that he does, I think he has a really good shot at winning it.
No, it's not an
Um,
outrageous take because definitely rookies come out of nowhere. It's
mhm,
just I think Shet with the experience of getting hurt that first year and being able to rehab and just watch how to play, how to
right.
be effective. I feel it's going to be very hard for Shet to lose that rookie of the year because he's going to have to really not play well in my opinion to lose that trophy.
Yeah. The only way I see Chet not really playing well is not really playing well. Um, I think it just depends on how much the NBA is going to value defense when they consider rookie of the year. Because I think Chet's going to be a great defender, and he's not going to be a super crazy offensive player this
He's
year.
not
I
going to
don't think
need to be.
he's not going
If
to need to be.
he Oklahoma City needs that number one defensive presence in the paint
Mhm.
because that's how they were losing a lot of those games where people were being able to get inside in the paint and rough them up in the paint. And I feel Shet is going to be there now. He's going to be that presence. Like, hey, you ain't going to score on me in here. You got to bring that back out there. So I really think Shet is going to make a huge impact defensively, and anything added offensively is just going to be icing on the cake.
Yeah. Um, a
What's your second hot
second.
take?
Let's see. I gotta think because it's like I have a lot. Um, Does it have to be for this upcoming season?
Yes.
Okay. I'll say
I mean, you could do the thing you were talking about in my comment section, bro. Thinking LeBron's not a top 10 player. That's a freaking hot
oh,
take right there.
yes. Let's discuss that right now.
Okay.
I do not think that LeBron is or is going to be a top 10 player.
Y'all hear
I will
that?
go ahead.
Y'all hear this guy right here? Okay. All right.
Yes. I will go ahead and give my I'll say this. If he is 9 or 10. He is not top 7, top 8.
Give me 8 players better than LeBron James right now.
They're going into this next season?
Yes.
Okay. Luka, Steph.
Okay.
Giannis,
okay, well,
Jokic.
That's 4.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking. My bad.
No, you're good. That's 4.
Luka, Steph, Giannis, Jokic. I'm not going to say Embiid, but I think just because I'm not going to say Embiid just because of my criteria I was telling you for not having him top 10. So not Embiid.
So not Embiid. Okay. So you're still at 4.
Sorry. God, why do I have
You
to
said Devin Booker in the comments.
I did. Devin Booker. Devin Booker's going to be
crazy.
Here. Let's see. LaMelo Ball. Sorry, I quit.
Whoa. Okay. We're crazy on this.
If he's healthy, if he stays healthy, KD.
No, he's not. No, he's not. How is KD better than LeBron? What does KD do that's more effective than LeBron?
I'll get to it. I'll get to it another time.
You have 3 players that I already disagree with.
What are those 3? Oh, it's Steph,
KD, and Devin Booker.
Yeah. Don't hate me. Damian Lillard.
Oh my God.
He's like 9 or 10 though.
Look, it's already struggling to get. You're at 6. You're struggling to get here.
I'm only struggling to get here because of my criteria as far as availability. You know what?
All right. Well, let's
bump the availability. Let's just go who I think are better players than LeBron.
Yeah, everyone's healthy
with or without.
Because
bet.
Everyone's healthy.
Bet. All right. So starting from the top again.
Steph, hang on. I'm writing this down. Okay. So you have Steph. Go.
Steph, Luka, Giannis, Jokic, Embiid, KD, Devin Booker, Damian Lillard. When healthy, if he's gonna go back to how he was before, Kawhi Leonard and Anthony Edwards.
Okay, hang on. I have 6. You have Steph, Luka, Giannis, Joker, Booker, Embiid. Who else?
And Steph.
You said
Luka,
KD, right?
KD. I said Anthony Edwards. I said Kawhi.
And then you have Ant. And then Dame. So you have LeBron at 11.
I do. 11 or 12.
Healthy.
If everybody's healthy, 11 or 12. If not 11, my 11 would be Paul George.
That is freaking crazy.
As a player.
Yeah, as a player, that's crazy. And I'm a Clippers fan. Everyone knows that. That's crazy.
I'll give
why I understand. Okay, if I'm going off of everyone's healthy, let me give you my list. I would have Giannis, Joker, Luka. I'll probably have LeBron 4. I would probably have LeBron 4.
Good God.
What are you talking about? Do we need to go over the December to January stretch where he put up 35, 8, and 8? Who is better than that player?
That's impressive for 2 months. Nobody's bet. Well, there's not a lot of people better than that player.
Then he came back and led his team to the Western Conference Finals.
You said what?
Yes, I said then he came back and led his team to the Western Conference Finals. Yes, he wasn't as effective scoring the ball as he was in that December to January run, but he still led his team to the playoffs because of what else he brings, his IQ, his playmaking. He just
the problem that people have with LeBron isn't his ability, it's the fact that he can't sustain that ability. That run from December to January is great. probably a top 10 run of the last few years. It's not sustainable. That's the problem. People like Luca, people like Giannis,
How
people
is it
like
not? Wait,
Jokic.
how is it not
It's
sustainable? He got
35,
hurt.
8 and 8 for the okay. So let's say he didn't get hurt. You're telling me that
Bro,
LeBron
no, he
was
wouldn't have
go
kept up
on.
that run, but he putting
I
up
don't think
28. He putting up 28, 8 and 8 for sure.
mhm,
For sure putting
mhm,
up 28, 8 and 8.
which is
No
which is
one else
cool.
is doing that.
No
Joker's
one
not
else.
averaging 28.
Yeah, he did.
I don't think he averaged 28 last year.
Not last year, but the year before when he won MVP.
Yeah, but his team wasn't as successful as LeBron's was.
And that's fair, but
That's the thing. LeBron just elevates his team. That's what makes him so elite. He doesn't have to be scoring to be effective because he gets guys in perfect spots to shoot the ball, or perfect lobs, or just perfect spots to score the ball. He doesn't have to be shooting the ball to show his greatness.
so I'm going to name some players and I'm going to ask you whether you think that they're more impactful to their team.
Impactful. Okay.
Impactful, not better, but more impactful. Is Steph Curry more impactful to his team than LeBron James?
That's so stupid. He's more impactful. Steph's more impactful, in my opinion. He is.
Okay. I'm not asking who's better. I'm just saying who's more impactful. I'm not going to debate who's better. Is Luka Doncic more impactful to his team than LeBron James? I would say no, just because Luka hasn't had enough time.
I don't
No,
know. I don't
could maybe.
know because he just has taken bums to playoff runs. I mean, the two series against the Clippers, like I thought we were gonna lose both of those, man. I mean, Luka just he does so much for his team, but he's literally the same exact player as LeBron. So that's where it's like yes and no, in my opinion. I'll say yes, he's more impactful. But the only reason I'm saying this is because LeBron has so many other pieces on his team to help him out. It's not just LeBron doing it. If you're telling me 2018 LeBron, he's more impactful than everybody on this list. But this LeBron now, he doesn't need to be relied on as much because of what he has around him.
Exactly. So
That doesn't mean he's not a better player than these guys, though.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that that's the reason why he's not better. Okay.
The only four players that are more
Honest-
impactful to their team than LeBron is Steph, Luka, Giannis, and Joker. No one else is more impactful than LeBron on their team. Booker's got KD, Embiid had Harden. Embiid would not be an MVP if it wasn't for Harden. KD has Booker, Kawhi has PG. I guess you could say Ant, but he hasn't had success yet, so you can't say Ant. Dame, no, because he hasn't had success. He had one playoff run. That's it. PG has had. Okay, PG's a hard player because he is so skilled, and people do not give him credit for how skilled of a player he is. But he has Kawhi to play off of, so it's hard to say he's more impactful to his team. And when he was by himself, that playoff run, he was tremendous.
If this was like 2013, 2014, maybe
No, because those Indiana teams still had a lot of players on that team. You had David West, you had George Hill, you had Roy Hibbert, you had Danny Granger, you had players on that team that were good, solid players.
But that's the same thing. That's what I'm saying. If the argument were today's LeBron versus back then PG, the argument is pretty much the same because LeBron has plenty of pieces that are decent on his team, even though he didn't show up as much. D'Lo, Austin Reeves, AD. Who am I blanking on? Why am I blanking on the Lakers?
I mean, there's not much outside of that. You got D'Lo, you got Anthony Davis, you got Austin Reeves, you have Rui Hachimura, you have
Rui. Rui is who I was
think
thinking.
That's all. I mean, they added Cam Reddish. Yeah, I mean last year that's probably all they had.
And then, like you were saying before, with Paul George in that little 2013, 2014 era when he was going up against LeBron, it was him, David West. I believe, did he have Jeff Teague yet or no?
No, Jeff Teague was 2017.
Yeah. He had David West. He had who else did he have? Did he have no. Roy Hibbert, you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah,
Danny
he's
Granger.
around him. Danny Granger, I almost forgot about Danny.
Yeah.
But yeah, they both have pieces around them that are decent. So that's what I'm saying. That argument would be a little bit closer if it was back then. But now, no, it shouldn't be close. LeBron is more impactful. Um,
But LeBron is still better than 90% of this list that you gave me.
I would.
He just does so much for his team. Yes, he
Oh,
has all these pieces around him, but he's the driving force of the team. You saw LeBron when he got hurt. The Lakers weren't able to sustain how effective they were when he's on the floor. Yes, they were able to still win games, but that's because the AD was locking up defensively. That's not, but LeBron is the driving force of the Lakers offensively. Yes, he's not the same he was defensively, but offensively he does so much that he gets the respect to slack off defensively, in my opinion.
I'm not gonna say availability, but I will say as far as like what we'll see on a nightly basis from LeBron, I'll give LeBron 27, 7 and 7. On a nightly basis, maybe even 27, 8 and 8. But on a nightly basis, I've seen, maybe not now, but it's possible for him. I've seen Steph go and get you 31, 30, 32, 6 and 7 on a nightly basis. I've seen Joker go and get you 26, 27, 11 and 8 or 11 and 7 on a nightly basis. I've seen Giannis go and get you 30, 15 and 5 on a nightly basis. D-Book is outrageous to some people. I'm only saying D-Book just because of what I'm seeing from this past season. Like D-Book is.
Well, we only saw that in the playoffs.
But that's where it matters the most.
No, the regular season still matters.
But it matters the most in the playoffs, does it not?
Yes, and the reason he did that was, like I said, because of Kevin Durant. He was getting that opportunity.
Which is fair, but
like everybody you're naming, I'm saying is better than LeBron, except for Booker. I told you I wouldn't argue Steph Curry, but so, I personally would take LeBron because I think he's more impactful to.
Whoa!
Wait. That's not what I meant to say. I'm meaning to say like he's more. He does more to, in my opinion, than Curry does.
Which is fair. Okay, so if you're saying that LeBron does more on a basketball court than Steph Curry, that I agree with.
Because I think his playmaking is better than Curry's, and I don't think you would argue that. Yeah, so no. that's where the line's drawn. Curry's a better shooter. LeBron's a better playmaker. I think LeBron's also a better scorer than Curry.
Oh,
I don't know how you can argue that when LeBron can just bulldoze his way to the basket and get a foul and get an and one, and Curry's not doing that.
I would say to rebuttal that Steph has the best or the second best handle in the NBA. I don't know why people discredit this, but among this is crazy. Among guards, or not even just among guards, Steph Curry in the paint has had one of the best percentages in the NBA for a long time. Like he's not just bad out in the paint. Like I saw it last year. He actually has a better paint percentage, like finishing percentage inside the paint than Ja Morant, which is kind of wild when you think about it.
That's not wild because Ja draws a lot of charges.
That's true.
But it's not better than LeBron. Like you can make that argument. Yeah, he's more effective in the paint than we all thought, but it's still not more effective than LeBron. That's what this argument is about.
On the scoring aspect, I'm taking the guy that's gonna get me elite shooting from outside, elite shooting from inside the arc in the mid range.
It's not elite. Come on.
His mid range isn't elite.
You said inside.
That's what I'm saying. Inside the arc, like in.
Oh, inside the arc. I thought you meant like the paint.
No. And I would say.
You don't think LeBron has a average to above average mid range game with his fadeaway?
No. No. His mid range is above average. But let me finish. I'm gonna take the guy that's gonna give me elite shooting outside the arc, elite shooting inside the arc in the mid range area, and above average finishing in the paint. Opposed to the guy that's gonna give me elite finishing in the paint, above average shooting in the mid range, and on most nights, not so great shooting outside the arc.
Yeah, LeBron shooting, I can't argue. I can't argue
I think
that.
his best recent shooting year was 2021. I think when they first got rushed, correct? That was his best recent shooting year.
I think it was the year they won in the bubble. I think was his best shooting year with the Lakers, anyways.
Okay, then
His best shooting year, in my opinion, was the 2018 Cavs. But that's the best version of LeBron I've ever seen, and that I will go to the grave with that. Everyone says it's 2013. I think 2018 LeBron was the best LeBron I ever watched basketball.
I think 2018 is the better player. I think 2014 was more
athleticism,
or
more dominant.
Yeah, I think like once Bron got to 2018, he had that experience. He had a lot more IQ in his back.
It was smarter. Yeah, he was more of the complete player.
He was declining athletically, but like that's crazy to say that 2018 was him declining athletically is kind of crazy when
people thought that was going to be the drop off. That was the first year Kyrie was gone. And everyone's like, oh, this is when the Cavs are going to fall off.
Nah.
He just said, F all y'all.
It's saying that, and it's true that 2018 he was declining athletically, but the fact that athletically is his decline is kind of crazy. Like looking back at 2020, like 13, 2012, like how athletic he was back then is wild. But that athleticism combined with the fact that he's always been a high IQ guy. 2013 and 2014, I believe those were his best shooting years of his career. I think he was shooting like 42%. Still one of the best slashers, if not the best slasher in the NBA, and had a solid mid-range game. Like that LeBron was probably the most complete. 2018 was the most dominant for sure.
This is what people don't understand. LeBron's never been a shooter. He's never been a great shooter, yet he's got the most points in NBA history. And he's still going strong at 39 years old. It's like people want to say it's just longevity. Nah, the dude is just so physically dominant, you can't stop him. You just gotta like try to take a charge, or you gotta foul him, let him go to the free throw line. I will say his free throw percentage is not the best. That is also one of his weak points. But to me, it doesn't matter when he's still putting up 28 on 50-60% shooting inside the paint. It's crazy to me. And I'd rather take the guy that is the more complete player than the guy that, yes, is gonna be a better shooter, but I want the guy that's a more complete player and is gonna put my team in position to win. And I think that is LeBron over Curry. Even now.
And from that logic, I can see it.
And he beat him last year.
With help.
Okay, but he still beat him. It's like, how could we say Curry is better when LeBron beat him, putting up, I don't even know the numbers, but I still think LeBron put up better numbers because Curry seemed to ran out of gas in that series.
Hot take, but the same win that LeBron just got is not the exact same, but almost the same context as the 2015 finals. No, the Warriors.
I agree.
Nobody showed up. Nobody showed up in that series except for Steph. Just like in 2015, nobody came to play except for LeBron.
But LeBron didn't gas out.
He did.
LeBron should have won Finals MVP still over Andre Iguodala, because oh my God, Andre Iguodala held LeBron to 35. Oh my God, he locked him up.
It was literally. It should have been Curry's.
No,
you can say it was LeBron.
The 2022 one, but that one's Curry's.
Nah, I would say just because like the Jerry West thing was such an anomaly. Like I'm pretty sure that was the only one where
it's so dumb. It shouldn't be that. It's who was the best player in the finals. That's who should win the finals MVP.
I can agree a little bit, but at the same time, it's like you kind of be disagreeing with Giannis's definition of the best player in the world. Like Giannis told everybody himself, like, I believe the best is the last one standing. Oh,
yeah, that's what he brought. He still said LeBron, right? I remember that interview.
LeBron?
Didn't he say that?
No. He said Steph was the best in 2022.
Oh,
when
because he won the championship. Yeah,
because
yeah,
he
yeah,
won the
yeah, yeah,
championship.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. He's
But
saying
that
he
that makes
basically
that
said,
makes sense. But Curry won it because he was the best player. If Tatum outperformed him, I would have said Tatum deserved the Finals MVP. But Curry's the one who dominated that series, so he deserved it. But
true,
2015, LeBron was the best player in that series.
which is true, but I'm saying that the NBA is basically using Giannis's logic. That's what I was saying. Like they're
No, oh
using
yeah, yeah,
Giannis's
you're
logic.
right. They're using his logic, but it's not my logic. It's not what I
Yeah,
think.
yeah, they're using his logic of the best player from the last team standing, and that player was Steph Curry in that series. So if we're going by that logic, yes, Steph Curry definitely should have had that MVP.
Okay,
If we're
well,
going by best
if we're
player,
going by that
then
logic,
LeBron,
then LeBron's better than Curry right now. He beat
which
him.
is which is fair, which is well, eh.
What do you mean? What do
Eh.
you mean?
Giannis's logic. Hey, he said the last guy standing. LeBron
But
was
we're
not the
talking
last
about
guy.
LeBron and Curry. We're not talking about everybody. We're talking about LeBron and Curry.
I guess. I still say
Like I said,
Steph
I
Curry.
agree with you with Giannis. I agree with Luka. I agree with Joker. I think LeBron's better than Steph, but I can't get behind Booker and Embiid, KD, Kawhi, Ant, Dame, and PG. They're not all better than LeBron James right now.
Okay. Okay. So with KD, as of right now, I think KD is a better defender and scorer than LeBron. Rebounder, I think it's close. Playmaking, it's not close. And team success, even though it's not all accredited to KD, just the same as it's not all accredited to LeBron.
KD has not looked the same since his Achilles injury, man. He had the one playoff run against Milwaukee, and after that, he has not looked the same. He looks like he's
I would
lost a step. He
I
looks
would say
like it's
offensively,
harder
been
for him
better.
to get to his spots. And I still think LeBron's a better scorer than him. I think LeBron can score a lot more efficiently than Kevin Durant can.
I wouldn't. You lost me when you said efficiently. Personally, in my opinion, as far as him not looking the same since his Achilles, defensively is the only place where I say he does not look the same. Offensively, I think he looks even better than he used to before. KD was not as efficient as he has been these last few years before his Achilles tear. I think
LeBron
this
averaged
last
more
season,
points.
what'd you say?
LeBron averaged more points on better
This past
efficiency
year?
than Kevin Durant last year.
Did LeBron play more games? Or no?
I could check.
Because
That is true. Kevin Durant did miss a lot of time, but that should
Yeah.
also be taken into account when we're talking about who's better, who's
Yeah.
more available. And
But for
LeBron
the
is
last
definitely more available than Kevin Durant.
Yeah, but
LeBron played 8 more games than Kevin Durant, not a whole lot more.
yeah, KD's been super efficient though. Like I think this past season, wasn't it like 50, 40, 90 for him this past season or no?
Who? KD?
KD.
Let me check this. Let me check the efficient or the. Yes, he was 50, 40, 90.
Yeah, so KD just had a 50, 40, 90 season, albeit not on that many games, but still, that's crazy efficiency
He
that
barely
he had.
got the 40.
Yeah.
Oh wait. Oh no, he did. He averaged 1 more point than LeBron. What the hell was I looking at? Oh no, wait. Why does it say? Oh, never mind. Okay. Yes, he averaged 1 more point than LeBron. They
Okay.
didn't combine Phoenix and Brooklyn. He averaged less than Phoenix.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't get behind a man who hasn't had success outside of being part of a God squad compared to a guy who has had success in every situation he's been in while putting up efficient, effective, dominant numbers in LeBron James. And he still is putting up those numbers today. And Kevin Durant to me looks slower. It looks like it's harder for him to get to his spots sometimes. I just feel he's lost a step. And the reason why he's trying to get to all these different situations is because he can't be that dominant force that he once was.
I won't say
Me
that he
personally.
lost the step offensively. Like I said, I just think on defense it shows. Because if I'm not mistaken, 2019, he before he got hurt, he was being considered for DPOY in 2019. He was a great defender in 2019. Um, he was, of course, he wasn't like a front runner or anything, but he was being considered for it.
I think he was. He
Um,
was considered like an elite, like help defender.
yeah. Um, but not too much on KD, man. Not too much on KD. I get it. He's been hopping the God squads ever since 2017, but
Yeah, I need to see him win
he
a
did
ring before anything is credible for him. I need to see him win another ring. So always KD's out of the conversation for me just because I just don't.
he did make the finals in 2012 though.
Yeah,
Or was it
as a
12?
kid,
That's impressive though.
it is
That's
impressive, but he got destroyed and he hasn't done anything since that by him or when he's not with the Warriors.
which is fair. That's fair.
But
But
like I said, there's no way you have LeBron 11. There's no way that's like fair at all to him. You have Embiid who chokes in the playoffs and is hurt every year.
well,
KD
I
who hasn't
completely
had
forgot
success
about
since the
that.
Warriors. Kawhi, as much as
Okay,
I love Kawhi, he's been hurt every other year he's been with the Clippers. Ant
how
isn't
did
proven
I
yet. Dame
okay.
hasn't proved himself.
Wait, 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 wait.
PG is just crazy.
PG is wild. PG is wild.
Booker is
I'm gonna
wild.
pay some. Booker isn't too wild. Not too much on
Booker
Booker.
is wild because he has one thing that he does elite. He does nothing else elite compared to LeBron as multiple things that he does elite.
Bron, as of today, does what, one or two things elite? You could say one, but some
Passing
people are arguing two.
and slashing slash paint scoring.
Yeah.
He's elite at those two things. I would
Some
say he's
people
above average at the mid range also.
some people would argue that he's not even in a. I'm just gonna say scorer, like overall scorer. Some people would argue
See,
that
I
he's
don't
not
agree with
a
that.
scorer. Um,
If he
but I'm
doesn't
gonna
get
replace
hurt,
PG.
he averages 30 last year.
I'm gonna replace PG because I completely forgot a player and I don't know how. Tatum.
Yeah, that's still ludicrous.
Tatum shouldn't be wild. Tatum shouldn't be too wild.
Tatum is too wild for my liking so far. He has his hot moments, but he has some very low moments.
So my reasoning
That
for
game
Tatum,
6 against Philadelphia, he had 0 points going into the fourth quarter. That can't happen.
my reasoning for Tatum is the same reasoning I have for Giannis and Jokic, where they just do more things.
What does
Elite.
Tatum do more than LeBron that's elite?
Score, rebound, and play defense.
I don't think he's a better rebounder than LeBron. I'll give you the other two because he's definitely a better all-around scorer and he's a way better defender.
If he's not better, he's definitely on par with LeBron as far as
Yeah, I'll
rebound.
say he's on par, but I still will take LeBron, and then LeBron's a better playmaker, so that's 2 and 2. So what's the deal breaker? Shooting, I guess he'll take Tatum.
Tatum, I'd say shooting, I'd take Tatum. So, but part of okay, I think we need to start separating the terms playmaking and passing because they're not two different, completely different things.
They are different. They are different because playmaking gets you and your teammates better looks. It's not just you're passing to your teammates. So it does, but I still think LeBron is a better playmaker because he puts himself in good opportunities to shoot the ball.
Yeah. That's hard though because Bron, he puts himself in good positions, like making plays for himself and his teammates. So I would say he's a better passer for sure. There should be no debate that he's the better passer. Playmaking, I feel like playmaking includes like your handle, being able to get to your spots.
No, I don't agree with that. I think playmaking is separate from that because handles is its own category.
So you don't
dribbling.
You don't think that having a good handle plays into making a play for yourself?
I guess, yeah. I mean, I guess you have a point there, but I don't think Tatum's handle is like a Steph Curry to where it's a big gap between LeBron and Curry. I don't think Tatum's handle is a big gap from LeBron's.
No.
I don't think it's a big gap. No, I don't think. I think LeBron is an underrated. He's got an underrated handle.
He has an underrated handle, but I think Tatum's handle is top 12, top 15 in the league, whereas Bron's is like top,
17, 18, if that.
yeah, top 20 handle.
So
Because
this is more. Go ahead.
Tatum, Tatum's handle is like how much you value
Tatum.
Tatum
Okay,
handle
okay, okay.
is
Here. Tatum is an all-around better player right now. Yes, I get that, but
yeah.
I still, for me personally, I don't like his inefficiency. It's too much for my liking when you're supposed to be the number one player on your team. It's just like how I don't like Jordan Poole. I don't like players that are come and go, efficient, not efficient. I don't like that. And Tatum hasn't proved to me yet he could be efficient shooting these step back threes that he likes to shoot all the time. I'd rather have LeBron, who's going to consistently give me 25 to 27, along with 7 or 8 rebounds and 7 or 8 assists. I'd rather have
Okay,
the complete guy.
so my question is now is the question transforming? Like, is the question changing? Because
No,
are we
who's
now
better?
asking who's the better player or who we would rather have on our team? Because please remember that those are two different things.
I guess it is coming more to like who we rather want, because I guess we want different things on our team.
Right.
But I still think LeBron does more to where he's a better player than Tatum currently.
Okay.
So for Tatum specifically, it's the same thing. But like for somebody like Dame, I guess you could say you rather want Dame than LeBron, or Booker. You rather want Booker. But I still think LeBron is better than those players. I still think he does more to warrant him being better.
So do you think that he's okay? I'm confused because it's like, do you think that he's better because he'd be better for your team, or do you think that he's a better all-around player? Because you just told me that Tatum is the better all-around player, but you'd rather have.
No, I said for Tatum specifically, it's a want. I'd rather have LeBron than Tatum. But for these other guys, I think LeBron's just the better player. Okay. I'll give you Tatum because he is the better all-around player. I just personally wouldn't want him on my team because of the inefficiency.
So as of now, okay, so if that's the case, as of now, do you think that Tatum is a better player than Stephen Curry?
No. No. I don't. I would have Tatum. It would be Giannis, Joker, Luka, and then by this logic, I would have to have Steph, then Tatum, then LeBron.
Okay.
So LeBron would be like 6.
So who would round out your last 4?
Giannis, Joker, Luka, Steph, Tatum, LeBron, Kawhi, KD,
that's 8.
Embiid.
Okay.
And then I would either put that's tough. I guess I would probably put Dame at 10. I'd probably have Dame at 10 for now. But there's players creeping up that I would rather have, but Dame's probably a better player than those guys.
Mark my words, Anthony Edwards will be a top 10 player by the end of the season, and LaMelo Ball will be a top 15 player by the end of the season.
I don't hate the ant take. LaMelo, that's tough. He's got to make the playoffs. He's got to
stay healthy. That's the problem. When he's
healthy, know, but I mean, they were healthy his first 2 years, and they got destroyed in the play-in both years.
They weren't ready. I think.
You think he's ready now with all these injuries on him?
I think he is, just because he hasn't had the chance to show what him and Miles Bridges can do together.
Screw that. Give me Jimmy Butler at 10.
That's fair. I'll
give me Jimmy at 10.
Butler than Dame.
Jimmy's a winner. Dame's not a winner.
That's fair.
Okay, yeah, but I still have LeBron over. I guess now it's down to 40% of what you had.
Okay,
but you did change my mind on Steph and Tatum because I said they're more impactful and I'd rather have. So yeah. So I mean, I still think you were being disrespectful, but we kind of came to a common ground there. So I think we're good there.
My only thing with LeBron is I feel like before this year, a lot of people, like, Okay. Question. 21,
Oh,
21, 22 season. Did you think that LeBron was top 10?
yes.
Where in your top 10?
Oh God, it's a whole different season we're going to now because Joker wasn't fully
Just tell me
Joker.
whether you had him in the bottom half or the top half.
He'd probably be in the top half. I don't
Okay.
think he's really moved. Like I would have him 4, 5, 6. I'd probably have him over Tatum now if it's 22, because
Okay.
Tatum wasn't proven yet.
So here's my thing. My only problem with people who say that is that the way that lists have to work is that in order for certain people to move up, certain people have to move down. I
Yeah, so
personally
Tatum
think
would move down for me.
would move down from last season to this season.
Yeah, so Tatum would have taken a step down if you're telling me what my 2022 season list was, and
Uh
LeBron would be where Tatum is. But now they
okay.
just flip flopped.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. Not you. I'm not talking about you
No,
anymore.
I
But
get
I'm
what
saying
you're saying.
my problem with people is that they'll try to say like, yeah, LeBron's top 10, but so I'm more so when I asked you, I probably should have clarified. But when I was asking you, did you have him top 10 2021? I meant like not after the finals, but like during the season. So before the finals happened or anything like that, or even like right after the finals happened. A lot of people were saying, yeah, LeBron's top 10. But you also say, oh yeah, but Tatum's creeping into the top 10. Then you also have Jimmy creeping into the top 10 this year. Then you also have people saying like, oh, Steph is moving up the ranks. Well, in order for all these people to be moving up, some people have to be moving down. So you can't like I had a lot of people telling me, yeah, LeBron in 2021 is a top 3 player in the NBA. No, he can't be according to y'all, because if Steph is moving up so much as y'all are saying that he is, and Giannis is
We'll see.
moving up, or
Steph
if
was number 1 for me last year.
yeah, yeah, Steph was number 1, Giannis was number 2, Jokic was 3 for me last year. But I'm saying for those people who had like, I had people legitimately tell me that it was last year. It was Steph, Giannis, LeBron, Jokic, KD. No, because if y'all are saying that because Steph won, he should be moved up to 1. Well, KD didn't win. Why is he at 5? KD was sweat. Why is he at 5?
Yeah, this is where it's people's lists are different. They have different perspectives, different opinions. This is where it's hard to like actually have a factual list, because a lot of it's opinionated. Like I have Kawhi 7, but I'm dumping down Embiid because of his injury history. But I gotta have the same respect to Kawhi because he gets hurt all the time too. So it's hard to actually have a factual list, because a lot of it is like who I'd rather have is how my list really goes. So it's very hard to like actually like make the list fair, because a lot of it's opinionated.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. When healthy, do you think that Anthony Davis should be or is a better player than LeBron?
No.
Not yet.
So we're going they're both fully healthy?
Yeah.
No, because Anthony Davis doesn't have that killer mindset that I've seen all these other elite players have.
Okay.
I've only seen it for a selective amount of games, whereas I see LeBron, he'll do it for a full 7-game series. Anthony Davis doesn't do that. Like last year against Joker, he was afraid of Joker. He didn't do it. You should be able to go toe to toe with Joker. You shouldn't have 23 and Joker's got 35. It should be 30 and 30. You should be able to neutralize a little bit of the Joker, because yes, he's big, but he's all about finesse. He's a finesse player, so you should be able to get a little bit of an up foot on him. So no, I'm not a big Anthony Davis fan. I don't think he's got that killer mentality, and I don't think he wants to be great like he should be, like he was in New Orleans.
I feel like once he got that ring, he just got complacent. Because in my opinion,
I agree with that.
In my opinion,
he should be a top 3 player in the league.
Should be. with his
Exactly. He should be.
of defense and how good he was on offense, he should be.
He should be what Giannis is. Everyone says that he should. And after the one Giannis game where he did better than Giannis, everyone's like, "There's the AD we want. There's why he's better than Giannis." No, 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 no. Giannis got that ring. He got that ring. AD got that ring because of LeBron. Yes, AD helped, but LeBron is the ultimate reason why you got that ring. Giannis went and got
Okay.
his own ring by himself.
I would disagree with him
Oh.
that he completely got the ring because of LeBron.
No, I'm not saying I'm not
both-
saying that. I'm not saying that. But Giannis did it by himself, whereas AD
Yeah.
had help.
Yeah, AD had help for sure. Giannis went and got it and took it. You know, I'll say that in 2020, it easily could have been AD getting that Finals MVP.
Oh, I agree. I agree. He was a great player.
yeah,
But that's because he's playing off of LeBron James.
Yeah.
And that's because of the play style LeBron was playing. LeBron was being more passive. He was being more of the passer, the point
he
guard.
was the starting point guard. He was their
Yes.
starting that year.
If LeBron said, "Screw it, I'm going to be like 2018 LeBron," Anthony Davis wouldn't have put up those numbers.
Nope.
So yeah, I'm not too of an AD fan. I don't believe much in him. I think he like you said, after he got his first ring, he got a little bit complacent. He got like he's okay with having his one ring and he's ready to go drive off into the sunset with it.
He's a champion. That's what he cares about.
Well, I mean, hey, if that's what you want to get your bread, get your one ring. Hey, respect to you, but a lot of people think you could be something special and you don't really want to show that to us.
He adopted that mind. I just think he adopted that mindset too quickly, because if it was a player like Carmelo Anthony or Chris Paul, somebody who we've been waiting on to get a ring, like,
Oh, that's
forever,
different. Yeah.
like, you got your one ring, of course you're going to be complacent with it. You've been fighting for it for your whole career, but you're 6, 7, 8 years into your career, you're getting your ring and you're just good with it. Like, you don't want to go get.
He's what? He's 28, I think.
I believe 28. He's either
28. I mean, he's so young. I mean, somebody like Carmelo Anthony who was 36. It's like, come on, really? You obviously, when he gets a ring, we're okay with him having his one ring. But AD, you have so much more to prove. You have so much more to show us. You're 28 years old. You could become an MVP. You could become a Finals MVP. There's so much more to add to your resume.
Yeah. One more question, just an interesting question.
Yeah, we're gonna end off after this.
So I'll name mine first. But who are some players that you think are just done for as far as like their careers? Like, who do you think is just gonna fall off completely after this season? I would say that after this season, mine would most likely be sorry, I blanked. Clay, if not this season, the next season. Just because his value isn't going to be as good if he falls off offensively, because defensively he's already starting to have the wheels fall off. And my other one would probably be who's an older guy that we have right now? KD, maybe. Might be KD. I won't say that he'll completely fall off, but I don't think that he's going to be the 25 to 30 point per game scorer that we've seen.
Sheesh, that's a tough question. I mean, you could look at somebody like John Wall, whose wheels have already kind of fallen off.
Yeah.
The only players that I could really think of are Chris Paul, obviously, because I think his wheels are already falling off. But I think they're going to fully fall off after this year. Like, I think he'll retire after this year. I don't think he'll be a Warrior for more than 1 year. And I think Russ. I think Russ is fine. I think his athleticism is going to finally catch up to him. I think all those years, all that training and stuff, it's just all going to finally catch up to him. And I think this is going to be his last year that we get to see the fast, quick, athletic Russell Westbrook. And then once those wheels fall off, I don't know how effective he can really be in the league. And I think he'll probably end up retiring. He'll probably end up doing like what Carmelo happened to him, and he kind of got blackballed out of the league. But those are two players that I can really think of right now. I mean, you can look at somebody maybe like a Julius Randle because of his play style. Maybe that it'll be hard for him to fit anywhere else. I don't want to go here and say Zion, but if he gets hurt again, it's going to be very hard to come back from that.
If he
But I'm
gets
going to
hurt,
give him the benefit of the doubt still, because I do think the way he's coming in, the great shape he's looking in, he's looking thinner, looking in better shape. So I think he still has that opportunity, but I'm nervous if he gets hurt again, how much more opportunity he will have. I do think we're gonna, I don't, because of his play style, I don't know what he'll look like once he loses his athleticism, but I do think Jimmy Butler is father time is catching up to him. I didn't realize how old he was. I believe he's now 36. No,
Jimmy is?
hang on. He's older than I thought he was.
I think he was drafted 2011, so he can't be any older than like Clay or
33, my bad.
Yeah.
33. I still think his play style with how physical he plays, he doesn't have that much longer to compete. So obviously a Damian Lillard trade or some sort of trade for somebody needs to happen soon, or I think Jimmy Butler will be one of those players that we see wishes we want that they want a ring but they didn't. But the two main players I think are going to fall off after this year are Russ and Chris Paul are the two that I think we'll see a significant drop off after this year, if not this year already.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Russ is valid. CP3 is valid. Jimmy.
James Harden too.
James Harden too, because of all those hamstring injuries.
Yes.
Both of them is insane.
And just him not taking care of his body, because we all know he likes to go to the club a lot. So we know that he doesn't train like LeBron or Russell Westbrook train like 24/7.
Yeah. He just because of the state of his legs and how often he mistreats his body, I don't think he's going to last very long. I think he'll probably last longer than Russ and CP3 though. CP3 because CP3 is older, and Russ just because Harden has a more sustainable play style than Russ does in comparison, at least.
Yeah.
He won't last too much longer. I was gonna say with Jimmy might last a little longer just because Jimmy's also a good passer. So he can sustain that for a little longer, and he has a nice mid-range. So I don't think he's going to be the old, get down in the paint, bump you a little bit, like what he was doing to Grant Williams against the Celtics. I don't think he's going to be that Jimmy, but he can probably go get you still as a solid 17, 18.
Yeah, but that's not going to be a championship level player. But I mean, we all know Jimmy saves himself for the playoffs, which is smart, because I mean, the way he plays in the playoffs is a completely different player than he is in the regular season.
Right.
But I think that's all it. We cut out one segment short because we've been going on for almost 3 hours now. So I think we're gonna call it there. That was fun. It's fun. Good first episode. Some things definitely that were fun to talk about. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys did, please leave a like and subscribe if you are new. Comment down below topics you guys want to hear us talk about. And we will definitely take those into consideration. But any final words, Jay, before we set it off for the day?
Go Warriors, man.
Yeah, go Warriors. Are going to be a first round exit. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see y'all next time. It's been
round.
Jay and Evan. Peace.